All right, here we go. Drive time. Friday afternoon, 2 minutes past the hour, 2 o'clock. You already know it's hot outside. It's 98 degrees outside and rising. Shout out Nick Lachey. Happy Friday. Congratulations. Weekend time, weekend edition of the program. We will get you rolling into your weekend the right way. Here on The Drive with Spence Checketts. Thank you for making this show a part of your day today and hopefully every day. And if you do that, we appreciate you. Porter Larson behind the microphone today, behind the glass today, and there's a mic in there because you hear him chime in from time to time. When he has something of value to add, it's about a 50% hit rate, which isn't bad. You'd be a Hall of Famer in baseball. But a lot going on this Friday afternoon. Happy Friday to you. Take a big old deep breath. You made it. Congratulations. You have made it to the weekend. A hot weekend, triple-digit temperatures on Saturday and Sunday. Cooling down a little bit next week, which is good news, as we are high speed ahead to fall. It is day 5 of Camp Scally up on the hill. Morgan Scally and the University of Utah football program continuing their fall camp. We'll bring you some sound from players and coaches. I'll take advantage of this opportunity to remind you that if all you want is Utah football sound, that's it. Not interested in NFL, NBA, Jazz, RSL, whatever. If you are just one of those people that wants Ute sound and you want it all the time, ESPN700sports.com is what you should type in your web browser to find all of the sound from players and coaches throughout the course of the week. It is day 3 for Camp Kalani and BYU, and also Bronco Mendenhall and Utah State. The Aggies and the Cougars, day 3. With their training camp endeavors, trying to get ready for the start of the season. Got a lot of college football to get to on the show today, Big 12 style. Will Hammond has been practicing for Texas Tech, but he's got a big old knee brace on, like a big old knee brace on. Of course, coming back from that bad knee injury he suffered last year. A lot of people still believe Texas Tech should be the favorite to win the conference, including odds makers and prediction markets and such. Will prediction markets be a thing in Utah? Some interesting stuff we talked about yesterday with our good friend Preston Handy as Utah won their first round in court against Calshi. But we're not going to dig into that today. Not going to spend a ton of time on that today. But as far as favorites to win the Big 12, it is still Texas Tech. The coaches did pick BYU. Ron McBride, live in the studio this week, said 10 wins for Utah football. We'll kind of look at the schedule today and go over some scenarios. I heard Brett Ciancia pick 6 previews. Brett believes that Utah will be 8-0 heading into the Utah-BYU game. And a lot of people believe that game could be a virtual play-in game for the Big 12 championship to maybe see Texas Tech in Dallas for all of the marbles. RSL will be back in action in Leagues Cup play coming up this weekend. Then they're going to get back to MLS play on the 15th. Against Minnesota. No official word today as to whether or not Xavier Gozo is officially gone and on the move. Those are the rumors, though. As Crystal Palace apparently has made a bid of somewhere in the neighborhood between $12 to $15 million to grab the 19-year-old winger from RSL. And as we talked about throughout the course of the show this week, I think if you're an RSL fan, the only ask you have is spend that money on talent. We're going to lose a really good player. This is still a team, even with the struggles after the World Cup break, that is in the top 5 in the West. They still have a chance to make the postseason and playoffs. There's still the Leagues Cup ahead. Opportunities to win trophies. RSL has not won a trophy since 2009. 17-year trophy drought for RSL. Hoping that will end sooner rather than later. Kind of a quiet time on the NBA calendar. You know it's a quiet time on the NBA calendar when the biggest piece of news is, will Kevin Love sign with Philadelphia to go back with LeBron? There's some other names out there. We're still waiting for the Jalen Duren Detroit Pistons situation to kind of settle in. But as I've referenced, the Jazz have 15 players under contract now after kind of finalizing the roster with some vet additions. So I don't know that we're going to see any more movement from our local team. But we'll get into some NBA storylines. It's been a crazy NBA offseason, kind of the status quo with this league now, inching closer and closer to the start of pro football, and a lot of camps going on right now across the landscape of the NFL. Apparently, Max Crosby hit Kirk Cousins in Raider practice today, and Kirk Cousins actually tried to fight Max Crosby. A little video of that would be hilarious. But that's that time of year. Then we get into like the joint team practices that just end up in brawls every single time. But we're high speed ahead to football. High speed ahead to Utah football. Less than 4 weeks away for game one for the Utes. Idaho in town on Thursday, September the 3rd for a 7 o'clock kickoff. Of course, you can hear pregame coverage with that guy, Porter Larson. And then Bill will take care of you, voice of the Utes. Starting at 7 o'clock here on ESPN 700. The television portion of that contest will be ESPNU. And then it's Arkansas for probably the stiffest non-conference test, although a lot of people with questions about Arkansas, the Razorbacks. That will be the 12th. Little late kick, 8:15. The Arkansas AD mad about that. And then Bronco Mendenhall and Utah State rolling to town for a Saturday tilt on the 19th at 1:30. That game will be seen on Big Boy Fox. And then you launch into the conference schedule. So, speaking of schedules, Utah men's basketball released their non-conference schedule. We weren't able to get to that on the show yesterday, but we'll bring that back around to you today. And the changing landscape of college football. The Protect College Sports Act looks like it's actually going to pass, surprising to me, as Congress doesn't act quickly to do much of anything these days. And it does have some potential ramifications we're going to talk about on the show today that could affect not just Utah, but the Big 12 as a whole. It's not official yet, but it seems to be just a matter of time until we catch word that the Protect College Sports Act has actually been passed. Our first guest on the program today will be the head coach of Real Salt Lake, Pablo Mastroeni. Going to be interesting to talk to Pablo today about the Xavier Gozo news and what's the plan put in place to make sure the team still plays at a high level. One road win on the year, not good enough for RSL. They've got a home-heavy slate for the next couple of weeks, and then they're going to get back at it. You got to at least find a way to grab a point on the road in MLS if you want to be a playoff team. Luckily, they've played really well at home. We'll talk about the Tigres loss. We'll look ahead to Atlante. I think that's how you say it, coming up on Saturday as Leagues Cup continues. The world of the PGA Tour is at the Wyndham Championship. We'll give you a leaderboard update throughout the course of the program today. We'll keep an eye on our local guys. Zach Blair had a solid day yesterday. And Porter and I were discussing off air, like, what's next for Tony Finau? Outside of being very rich, which is congratulations, high five. He signed as the Jordan Brand golf ambassador. And I suppose there are worse lives to live than just continuing to play golf and cashing checks. It's just been a long time since we saw Tony Finau not just make a cut, but actually compete and win. He had a better day today. But barring something unforeseen, over the last 5 holes, Tony Finau will not make the cut. He's at 2 under par. The cut line is 3 under par. And so he's got 5 holes left to find a couple of birdies if he wants to play the weekend. He is 3 under today after the 71 he carded yesterday. Zach Blair with a difficult day today. He's actually even par, but that's not enough to make the cut. So we'll keep you up to date on our local golfers as it pertains to the Wyndham Championship in the PGA Tour going on right now in Greensboro, North Carolina, at the Sigfield Country Club. So a lot to do. Good time of year, fun time of year. Howard Beck is going to join us today to talk Jazz basketball and NBA offseason. LeBron to Philly, what's next in the Western Conference landscape. Bill Busch. Now, Bill Busch was the safeties coach for Utah football under Coach Mack, and Coach Mack actually talked about Coach Busch this week because Bill Busch is the one that most people credit for looking at Morgan Scalley and seeing a safety instead of a running back. And Morgan was an unbelievable running back at Highland High School, won whatever that National Heisman Trophy winner thing is for high school athletes. And his father played running back for Utah football. I believe his grandfather did too. And so Morgan badly wanted to play running back. And Bill Busch was the safeties positional coach that said to Coach Mack, I can turn that kid into a safety. And he sure did, all conference safety and one of the best safeties in the history of Utah football. And, of course, now is coaching the football team. So we'll bring in Bill Busch today to talk a little Morgan Scalley, talk a little Big 12 and Utah football. And then, as I referenced, a lot of attention on the World of golf right now. Wyndham Championship going on. FedEx Cup right around the corner. A lot of local golf stories to get to. So Jordan Bloxham, the pro up at T-Box, my personal golf coach, who has confused me greatly every time I take a lesson from him. But Jordan Bloxham will join us coming up a little bit later on. So busy Friday show. Happy Friday to you. We've got Pablo Mastroianni, Howard Beck, Bill Bush, Jordan Bloxham, me, Spence Checketts, all of you, the great listeners. Happy Friday to you. Happy weekend to you. And Porter Larson producing the show today, electing to put together our daily promo about our just a couple of guys talking ball.
It's great.
That's all it is, right?
50% though.
Oh, back to your hit rate? It's a good hit rate.
I was going to say, are we shooting field goals here? Is it a at bat percentage?
Look, man, we have some radio hosts in our market who would kill for a 50% hit rate. You should take that. And some of them have had a job for like 30 years and are still working.
And to be clear, I take pride in some of the more useless information I bring to the air, weather and such.
So the least amount of usage of the information, the more pride you take in such information?
Well, just considering sports radio, right? I like to bring some brevity to the program. I like to bring some unrelated but also interesting dialogue to the program.
Okay.
I like talking music.
Okay.
I like talking not necessarily pop culture because that's not my wheelhouse, but we can veer away from ball and bats and golf clubs and such every once in a while.
I understand that the topics are varied, but the hit rate remains. It's still about 50%.
Oh.
It's not bad.
Okay.
It's not a bad hit rate.
Well, thank you.
It'd be a great field goal percentage in basketball. Again, in baseball, you'd be the greatest hitter of all time.
Slugging percentage is way up there, though.
That's true. Now, if you're a field goal kicker, you could not keep your job.
But always getting on base, at least. My OBS is it's up there.
There are a few strikeouts along the way, but that's all right. How's your Friday, man? Everything good?
It's good. It's good, yeah. Of course, setting you loose for the weekend. And, we'll do a little bit of everything today. Some soccer, some football, of course, with fall camp. We are 26 days away from kickoff for Utah football. Some NBA stuff to get to.
Why are you giving me a deep sigh about NBA stuff?
I'm just, I don't know. I'm in a weird place with the association.
It's like if you had a relationship status, it would say it's complicated.
It's complicated.
Is it a situationship?
No, I very much love the association.
But it's complicated.
But it's not doing itself any favors, in my estimation, my eyes.
You listened to Pablo Torre again this morning, did you?
Listen,
yeah.
The more it goes on, the more we're going to talk about it. I think that maybe I am a little bit more on this than other folks, and most people just want to tune in and watch basketball. They don't really care what's happening behind the scenes, but I think the Ballmer Clipper stuff is a really big deal when you're talking about what the actual future and inside of the league looks like. I think it's a big moment for the NBA this offseason.
Did Kawhi Leonard insult Pablo Torre's mother or something?
No, he
Pablo
just
Torre
took
is
$1 bazillion under the table and is leaving a bunch of breadcrumbs for it. And a lot of it is directly tied to the Clippers and some of their subsidiaries. So I get it. Pablo is hitting it hard, but I think he should be. I'm stoked that he is.
Bazillion is not a number.
I should say allegedly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're now on to the third different some sort of alleged circumvention of the cap with the tree planting aspiration business that wasn't real, with a soccer team in Rhode Island, and now with a company that worked directly with the LA Clippers.
Is that the video board thing?
Doing the video board. They installed all the tech in the Intuit Dome and had a apparent deal with Kawhi Leonard, even though they don't even do market commercials and whatnot, right? They're a kind of a behind the scenes. They don't need to do marketing. They're not a consumer brand. And, well, they never published or had Kawhi do any marketing. So what was the money for? What was the agreement for? And why was it so hidden? Continues to be a bigger deal than I think a lot of hoops fans who just want to watch hoops really realize.
Look, we're not going to do a lot on this today. We do have an NBA guest. What I will say is, based off of what is being alleged, if this turns out to be true, then Kawhi Leonard should not be playing in the NBA. He just shouldn't. And I love Kawhi. I think he's awesome. We saw how great he was last year in the All-Star game. When he turns it on, he's still one of those dudes. This cannot be allowed. Yeah, I mean, this is a precedent that if what is being alleged is true, the Clippers need to face serious ramifications, and I don't think Kawhi should be playing in the league.
Yeah, the Clippers need to receive not just money. That's the big thing. Not just money penalties, because Steve Ballmer was like, cool, here's a check.
Yeah.
It has to have consequences in the competitive field, draft picks and contracts and the like. Kawhi Leonard, who his party and his Uncle Dennis, has been a huge part of his behind-the-scenes dealings, they need to face repercussions. And I think Adam Silver needs to drop the hammer on his buddy Steve Ballmer. Like, that has to come down in a way that I think there's some hesitancy to do, because he is the wealthiest owner in pro sports. And that's, sorry. I mean, I know you have all the money in the world to play with. You still have to work within the cap. And if you don't repeatedly, right, DeAndre Jordan, and now multiple times with Kawhi Leonard, allegedly, and then you lie about it, and then you obfuscate and, do all the things, not only should Kawhi be off the floor for, I think, a considerable amount of time, but I'm not so sure Steve Ballmer should be an owner in this league.
You know what, dude? I'm going to up your hit rate to 60% today.
Thank you.
That was a good breakdown, because I know this means a lot to you. You have been all over this. And if anything comes down, and for heaven's sakes, I never say that. I don't know why I just said that. It has to happen before the start of the year. Like, it's ridiculous that we're in August and there's still nothing there. But look, we'll move on from it. Maybe we'll get Howard Beck's take. But we are going to talk to Pablo. He'll be our first guest. But before Pablo joins us, courtesy of our friends at IFA Country Stores, on a Friday, it's time now for your opening tip. Now, like any good coach, it's time to update the game plan for a healthy green lawn. As the hot weather continues this month, make sure you're using IFA's Step 3 Spring and Summer Lawn Food for healthy turf that stays green every season. IFA Step 3 Lawn Food, it is the ultimate lawn owner power move. You can find out more online at ifa.coop. All right, a couple things here. A couple things that are very pertinent to our local college football landscape. Ross Dellinger, we'll start here, and then we're going to get into some finances. Going to get into some numbers here, some money stuff, some NIL stuff, okay? So Ross Dellinger, who I think has done the best job of reporting on this, quote, Protect College Sports Act that's making its way through Congress, a bipartisan bill brought by Bill Riley's doppelganger, Ted Cruz, and Maria Cantwell, is getting closer and closer to the finish line, which is surprising to me, because our local and national legislators and leaders in Congress and in the Senate, it seems to be really, really difficult to pass anything of meaning, and everything gets tied up because of bipartisan votes and this and that, whatever. But it looks like they're going to get this done. There's an amendment obtained by Yahoo Sports that if a Power League school wants to move to another power conference, the school can avoid the 5-year probationary period if it withdraws from its league within 180 days of the bill's enactment. Why is that pertinent? Well, the desire, and honestly, I would go as far as to say belief, of some people at the University of Utah is that the Big Ten is the landing spot for the Utes. I cannot corroborate that. Every time I say it, I get pushback from people like, oh, delusional Ute guy. I'm like, no, I don't know if it's realistic, because what I can tell you is when we have national college football writers on the show, Nicole Auerbach, Stuart Mandel, we talked to a bunch during Big 12 Media Days. I always ask them the question like, hey, in Salt Lake City, there's a fever pitch conversation and a behind-the-scenes belief that Utah will be invited to the Big Ten. Like, people it's not just people hoping. There are people that believe that that's actually happening. And to take it a step further, I got to be a little careful here. All I'll say is the Ocho Capital deal. Okay, so Utah's new private equity partner, they would not have made this deal if they also did not have some sort of hope or semblance of a knowledge that the Big Ten could be in Utah's future. Because we talk a lot about return on investment for Otro Capital based off of whatever they've decided to give Utah. And we still don't know, by the way. I mean, that's the other issue with having this conversation. The initial reports were $500 million in capital infused to Utah. And I've heard from multiple people around the course of the ecosystem that that's not the number. But because Taylor Randall and Mark Harlan have created a new company called Crimson Brand Partners, that it is a separate entity from the University of Utah, they're not beholden to public request records. We cannot get the numbers even if we tried. I've had Mark on the show twice since the deal was finalized, and he says the same thing. I can't talk numbers. I don't know what they are. But one thing that would make this deal extremely worthwhile for Otro Capital, and again, these are private equity guys that don't give a rip about anything other than what they're going to make on the other side of the deal. It's going to be difficult for them to receive a healthy return if everything stays status quo. Now, obviously, they're looking at the media rights deal once it goes to market, and that's like 2031, right? Which kind of fits the timeline. 5 years from now, 6 years after the deal was agreed to, and that 5-6 years is when these guys are going to start going, okay, we need to see the return on the cash that we gave you. We need to see the return on our investment, okay? And we need to start seeing it after 5 or 6 years. So the media rights deal is out there, and that's certainly not nothing. But, incremental upgrades to Rice-Eccles Stadium or what they're doing to the Huntsman Center, improving your consumer experience and therefore asking you to pay more for that experience, that's just a drop in the bucket. It's like throwing pennies in the ocean. Like, I don't know that the Otro Capital guys view these incremental steps that Utah's taking to improve their revenue streams and therefore be able to pay them what they're looking to be paid on the other side of the deal. But one thing that would absolutely solve the entire situation is if Utah was able to gain access into the Big Ten. TV money is much bigger, okay? That in and of itself was probably enough for the Otro Capital guys to say we should do this because we believe there's a future for Utah football in that conference. And if there's a future for Utah football in that conference, this deal would make sense for Otro Capital. So here's where it gets interesting. I'll repeat this. Per today's amendment, if a Power League school wants to move to another power conference, the school can avoid the 5-year probationary period if it withdraws from its league within 180 days of the bill's enactment. So when the bill is passed, Utah has 180 days to leave the Big 12 if it thinks the Big 10 is a possibility. So it's a calculated risk. So if we hear news that Utah has left the Big 12 after the bill has been passed within 180 days during that window, then we know all the conversation about Utah to the Big 10 is actually real. If Utah elects to stay in the Big 12 footprint during that 180-day window, then we have to be left with the conclusion that there's no chance it's happening because then you do sit in that 5-year probationary period before you can go to the Big 10. And by the way, the 5-year probationary period would match up with when the media rights go to open market in 2031. So this is a really interesting thing that kind of slid under the radar today that was amended with this Protect College Sports Act. The other thing that's going down, we'll get into this later, is now there's essentially a salary cap that includes NIL. It's about $48.3 million, which, by the way, is roughly half of the Ohio State budget this year. It's not going to go into effect right away because the deals have already been signed and the money's already out there. But the $48.3 million is the budget you can pay the players from the school, and that's your NIL cap as well. That's going to be for P4, period. That's good news for the Big 12, and maybe it allows the Big 12 to keep up with their counterparts and cohorts in the Big 10 of the SEC. All right, we'll get back to this because there's more meat on this bone, but we got a good thing coming up. It is, let's see, tomorrow at 9 a.m. at Lindquist Field in Ogden, Utah. It's open to the public. Homers for a Cause fundraiser. It's the Wasatch Front Men's Baseball League And the president, Mark Johnson, joins us live in studio. What's up, Mark? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm well, man. Thanks for the time. So let's talk about this fundraiser. And you're going to help a young person who's suffering from cancer right now.
Yeah. So every year we do a fundraiser that helps out a local kid in need that is battling cancer. So this year we've identified Samantha through Intermountain Healthcare. She's fighting cancer, and we're going to be trying to raise as much money as we can to help her in her fight.
So Homers for a Cause, it is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., right?
Correct.
So Lindquist Field in Ogden, Utah. Is that the home of the Raptors?
It is. It's the home of the Raptors. So we partner with Dave Baggett's and the Raptors.
Sure.
And they help us with that venue there.
So who's the favorite to win the Home Run Derby?
It's a toss-up because it's open to the public, right? So anyone can come in and participate in this, and we take the top 8 scores out of that home run derby, and we'll throw them in there.
Wait, this is a home run derby open to people who just want to show up and hit some dingers?
Absolutely.
Porter, get on the mic. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., we're going to this, and you and I are competing.
Listen, I didn't know it was open to the public.
Your boy can rake over here, just so you know.
That's tempting. I've one time in my life during co-ed softball got one over the fence. One time.
Okay, all right. Can we bring our own pitcher?
Yeah, so anyone who shows up, you can bring your own pitcher, or you can use one of the league's pitcher. You can bring whatever bat you want to use. So if you've got like a Besser bat or a wood bat, we do give bonus points if you use wood or BB core.
Okay.
And then it's a point-based system. So depending on how far you hit the ball, you get points based off that, and then we take the top 8 scores.
Can I pitch to Porter? Because I'm going to bring some high heat.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to see that.
I'm going to be keeping you off the plate, just so you know.
I'll crowd the plate, and I'm taking you yard.
I've got a curveball, just so you know. I've got the changeup. I've got it in the bag. All right, Mark, one more time. So let's get the touch points out where people can get information and donate.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're interested and you want to come in and help out, you can go to our website, wfmbl.org. There's a tab on there, Homers for a Cause. Click on that tab, and you'll scroll down. You'll see a bunch of links there. You can sign up for the Derby there. You can donate to the cause on that page as well. Or if you just want to show up in person anytime tomorrow, we're going to be there all day long. The Home Run Derby officially starts at 11:30 because we do have an All-Star game that starts at 9. So from 11:30 to 5 p.m. is our open entry period. You guys can just show up, register on site, pay your donation on site, and get involved.
If we show up at 9, can we play in the All-Star game?
No, unfortunately, those are for my guys.
I'm just kidding. All right, WFMBL.org. That's WFMBL.org. Go for information and go to donate. This young lady, Samantha, going through a battle. She's only 15 years old, so obviously that's far too young. Mark, thanks for the time. We'll chat again, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, we'll catch our first break of a Friday show. We're going to bring in Pablo Mastroretti coming up next on ESPN 700. Thanks, dude. All right, Howard Beck is going to stop by today, our buddy from The Ringer, to talk some NBA basketball. We'll get back to the college football storylines of the day today, including the amendment to the Protect College Sports Act that provides a very interesting window for the University of Utah should it elect to leave the Big 12. Bill Bush joins us later. The world of professional golf is at the Wyndham, so Jordan Bloxham will join us. But RSL back in action. Leagues Cup play rolls on. Coming up on Saturday, 8 o'clock at America First Field. Go to rsl.com for ticket information. And the head coach of RSL is Pablo Mastroeni, who's our first guest on a Friday. Happy Friday, Pops. What's going on, man?
Happy Friday, Spence. Just relaxing, man. Getting ready for the big game tomorrow.
There we go. There we go. You sound relaxed. I like that. I like a relaxed Pablo. It's a good Friday vibe.
It happens from time to time. I was just actually waking up from I was reading my book and passed out on the chair, and my alarm went off, and here I am.
Well, now you know I got to ask you what you're reading, if you want to share.
It's the second part of the Mickey Singer series is called Living Untethered.
Yes, it is. Okay.
Yeah, so just browsing through that, it's deep, right? It's deep when you're reading, and then you pass out, and you're in a deep sleep, man. I don't know.
No, you're relaxing and you're releasing is what you're doing after you sleep when you're reading that stuff, you know?
That's right. It's working.
Okay, we got to start with the Gozo stuff, and I don't know what you can or cannot say. I'll leave that to you because you're the pro. But, you know, I told you this when you joined us. Steve Starks joined the show about a month ago, 3 weeks, a month ago, and he spoke in a nature of being very additive to the group. And, I mean, he wasn't going to say one way or the other if you were moving on from either Gozo or Luna. But now we have multiple reports that Crystal Palace has made an offer that might be too good for the club to say no to. I wonder what you can share with us now.
Yeah, so Gozo hasn't been involved with the group the last few days. Obviously, it looks like the sale is going to go through, and just precautionary, just held them out of the last game we played, and there's been a lot of conversations, and the one hard thing with Spence is the same thing when we talk about trying to bring players in. It's like it's not done until it's done, right? Until it's over the line. It's always close, and I think in our case with the way the group performed in the first part of the season, with Gozo, with Juan Sanabria, with Sergi Solans, there's just been so much talk about the group, and these things the market's always open. Let's just put it that way, and so you never know if it's going to happen. This situation with Gozo kind of ramped up quick. Obviously, there's been conversations. And I know that the ownership and front office have met with Gozo, and they talked about like what was best for everyone, and I think there's always a sweet spot where we want to be a club that also looks after the players, and for as hard as it is to move on from Gozo, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for the young man, and he's put himself in a great situation. He's been a great teammate. He keeps raising the bar every game he plays, every training session. And so, all the numbers, everything matched up, and so that's the reality of soccer. And, instead of, at first you feel bad for the group as a coach. But when you really look into it, you're just so happy, our ethos is winning together through development, that's our ethos. That's our motto. That's every day for us. And to see a young man that come into the club at 14 and now at 19 leads the club for the biggest league in the world, it says a lot about the people that we have at the club. And so there's a good opportunity to celebrate. And then now we have work to do. We got to figure out how we're going to go, without him in the short term, and then the medium term, who we could bring in maybe a different position, because the likelihood is you're never going to replace a Gozo. You can't replace the whole human. There's certain aspects of his game that we can replace. And so it's, we've been in conversations with front office staff and trying to, hone in on those skill sets that we need with the group that we currently have, to be competitive in the West and finish the season strong.
So just to follow up for clarity's sake, Pablo, this, for all intents and purposes, this is done. This is happening, yeah?
It looks that way, Spence, but again, the caveat always being until it's done, it's not, and there's always these last minute things. There was a player let me give you an example. There's a player that was at Orlando a few years back, a striker, and someone that we'd talked about in the past of bringing over, and he flew all the way out to England, and in the 11th hour the deal closed down. It didn't happen, right? So this player's literally on a plane going all the way over there. He comes back, and they couldn't finish the deal. So like, there's always these instances, but I think for the most part, everything's on board, and the moment it's done, obviously there'll be a release from the club. But we've been holding him out for precautionary, making sure that he doesn't get injured.
Okay, let me. And this is completely out of ignorance. So if this is a dumb question, I apologize. But is there any sort of chance that the transaction is complete and they allow him to finish the year? Right. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud at this point.
Yeah. There's all kinds of stipulations that you can put those in the contract, and you can have them loaned back. In this case, and again, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but it doesn't look like that's an option for the situation currently. But you can write contracts however you can loan players back after you buy, and but in this case, I don't think that is an option. But I might be wrong there. But there are many things that you can do in all these transactions to, again, put the player in the best position, but also the club that's purchasing the player has, if there's an immediate need, then those stipulations don't exist.
Okay, so I've got a Sky Sports report in front of me that it is done, and again, I'm not saying you're saying that. I've got a Sky Sports report in front of me that the transaction has been agreed upon. But I wanted to ask you this question because obviously, when we first started talking about this potential possibility, one of the things that you had referenced was wanting to make sure, because we're all going to cheer for Gozo. We're going to watch this kid and hope that he flies and, represent RSL and represent the state. It's one of the things that tugs at the heartstrings. He's from here. Would be such a perfect face of the organization. But you also spoke in a way that you just wanted to make sure that he was going to the best situation for him. Is that what Crystal Palace represents in your opinion?
Well, again, I don't know all the details, Spence. I'm not privy to a lot of it. I think, I think what I will say is that, when the club had conversation with Gozo, it wasn't just with Gozo. It was with his representation, and it was also with his family. And I know his family are so close. His father comes out to watch training at times. His mom's, comes to all the games, and I think she's going with him to England for quite some time until he gets settled in. So really a family first person. And so I would say that his parents are well aware of the importance of this move and are going to support him in that regard. Crystal Palace is obviously affiliated with one of our owners who is also part owner of Crystal Palace, and if there's a great situation, I think that is where there's continuity, and not the same ownership, but again there's a connection there, and so I think Gozo's in great hands. He's got a great family that is so supportive of him, and like you said, for us. For all of us, getting up on Saturday mornings and watching the Premier League, now we'll have a guy that we've all that's touched our lives in a bunch of different ways, to watch on Saturdays now. So that's the new journey for Gozo.
Could certainly do worse than South London, right? And playing in the Premiership. I mean, it really last thing on this. It really is a cool story. Okay, so I understand this. I don't have to like it, but I understand it. And then also it gives you guys proof of concept to tell this really cool story. I guess there's that, right?
Yeah, there is that, Spence. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I want to win. Everyone wants to win. I mean, I need to win. I'm a coach. But again, after the game, he came over and gave me a hug, and I was pulling away, and he was still latched on a little bit, and he just says, Pablo, thank you for believing in me. And then you realize in this moment that it's more than just the results. It's more than just professional sports. It's sharing life. It's mentoring. and to see these young men who have these huge dreams, and Spence, we all have these dreams of making these, achieving these crazy things, and to be able to do it at 19, I mean, it really is pretty powerful. And so, like you said, I think it's proof of concept that, we're living by the ethos. We have a great academy system, great coaches within the club, from the academy and Monarchs on the first team. Like, everything is in place to continue to do that. And, in the short term, there's going to be an adjustment period, and something that we're aware of and cognizant of, and we have to figure out. But I think when you think about long-term health of the club and what we're able to do with some of, Andres Gomez and Fidel Baraja, and now Gozo, who's a native of Utah, it's a pretty special thing.
So I think from a fan perspective, and I think for people that just want to see the team do well, most soccer fans who follow the sport understand the global ecosystem and the global marketplace and why this is probably too good to pass up. But I'm sure you're going to hear from people that say, okay, congrats on the money, go get someone else, right? Let's reinvest this money in more talent to make sure that we have a chance to do something special this year. I mean, you're still a top 5 side. The road results that we'll get to have been a little bit rough, but can you illuminate us a little bit on maybe what the plan is prior to the summer transfer window closing on September the 2nd?
Yeah. So again, I think that's the adjustment, right? Is because Gozo brought a lot from on both sides of the ball, and in particular the attacking side. I think he's got 6 goals, 5 assists. Leads the team in big chances, which is basically one-on-one with the goalkeeper. And he does that because of his speed. And so there's a lot of things that will be really difficult to replace and get a like-for-like of that Gozo brought to the group. But what we've been doing is really thinking about how we can move the needle. And the biggest part is from an attacking perspective. I think his output, his threat, it wasn't that every game he scored a goal, but every game he brought the psychological terror to our opponents that maybe opened up gaps for Diego, Morgan, Serge, right? And so I think it's finding a creative way to replace him if you can't replace the whole person. And then obviously, as in the right wing back position, looking to bolster that position, Zach Booth has been really good. But again, can we continue to bring in a player that's going to force Zach to raise, his standards, and he's been awesome. And so fortifying the right wing back position, and then we have an injury in the middle midfield. Can we fortify that? And then we have Justin Glad, who hasn't been around for the last two months and change, and there's no real clarity with his injury as to when he's going to be back, and so we might need another center back. And I feel if we identify those positions, another strong attacker that can, be basically 4 players for those, 3 positions up there, a right wing back, a central midfielder, and a center back. I think we fortified our group, and so there's different mechanisms to do that. And I think that's the most important thing is this is our reality. How do we quickly, think quick, act quick, to make sure that we gain some momentum through this period.
So I know that it's a collaborative process, and I know you have a voice during this process, but I always find this pretty interesting because, if you guys are unable to recapture the form, you're the one that pays the price. I mean, the Millers are still going to own the team. Jason's probably still going to have his job. There's no such thing as a great coach without great players. It does not exist. And I think you've shown that you can maximize the group that you have, but you're the one that's really losing a really good piece to your puzzle. And, of course, there's a business element because Gozo's a guy that could sell tickets as well. But what sort of voice are you, given in this process when you're the one that needs the reinforcements?
Spence, so funny as I'm listening to you ask that question, I'm thinking that, well, that's why I'm reading Living Untethered.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to tether to anything, man. It's too big, man. It's too big. It's not even. I got a life to live as well, And if I'm trying to control things, or if it's just about my profession and it's not about my why, which is I coach to help the next generation of players become the best that they can be, and that's my why in coaching. And I know what my job is. I know I have to get results, but I also know that Jason understands that, and I understand that Kurt understands that. But then there's a bigger picture that's beyond my control, which is developing a young player and moving them on. And I've got to be able to, with the staff, steady the ship and get results. And that's a part of that's the beauty of the gig as well, is like, it's not going to always be easy. It's not going to be, it's not always going to be the way you want it to be. But again, I think that's coaching is difficult. You got to find, there's always going to be challenges. And the onus is on me to have a really clear mindset and understand that if I'm nimble, if I'm not attached to all these different things that are out of my control, then I can focus my attention on the things that I can affect. And that's really, how do we get a couple more % from each player? How do we become a better defensive team if we're not going to put up so many numbers? So there's a million ways to skin the cat. And what I do is I accept that this is a part of my journey as well. And I think acceptance and surrender is a critical aspect to having a good mental health whilst being a professional coach.
So you have read The Surrender Experiment, I can tell, right? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we are untethered from Gozo, as much as I don't like it. I guess that's where we're at. All right. Let's talk about the group that you do have as far as solutions immediately. I'll tell you what, this Labjanidze kid, like every time he comes on, I mean, he's like shot out of a cannon. I don't know what sort of plan you might have for him to help fill the role that Gozo leaves behind, but what's the plan right now?
Yeah. So again, I think, if the key here is about production, right? So the first part of the season, we have again, really, really good attacking players, but at the end of the day, we need to produce, right? And so bringing Saba in, it's taken, a couple weeks for him to adjust to the group, adjust to a new position, because he typically plays out wide, Spence, in like a winger role. And so this is his first foray into playing a 10. And what we're seeing as a staff and what you've seen is exactly the same thing, which is he gets in those pockets, and oftentimes from those pockets you like to get the ball out wide and get it back in, but he's very vertical once we break lines, and very creative in and around the box, is willing to take risks, and so he's created a bunch of opportunities for both himself and his teammates, like the goal he set up against St. Louis on the road, and so he continues to impress, and again, I think that optionality up front is going to be critical, especially when we have so many games. You're going to have nicks. Players up front are going to get nicks, and if he continues to perform the way he is, he'll find himself, playing more often, getting starts in that front three.
You referenced Jay Glad. I heard somebody once say, maybe it was when we had Eddie Pope here back in the day, like, that you have a good center back when you feel calmer when he's on the field, and you notice it when he's off, right? Because they're not guys that score a ton of goals, and I just feel like I could probably watch your team, and within 5 or 6 minutes, I could tell if Jay Glad was on the field or not. So an update there. I know you kind of alluded to it earlier, and then just an overall health update as far as guys that might be getting closer and closer.
Yeah, unfortunately, he has a strange injury, and it's on his pubis bone, and he's had the medical staff has actually looked abroad to Europe looking for people that have had this type of situation, and there hasn't been anything concrete, and so basically they're saying there's going to be a certain amount of pain you have to play through if you want to play. If not, we essentially have to shut you down, and so I think with medical and Jay kind of getting together, the idea is to ramp him up and see how much, if it gets worse, if it's pain he can tolerate, to then have a better timeline as to when he'd come back. And so this is still in the works. And so from a coaching perspective, we're kind of in the dark. There's still no, there's no projection as to his return. But exciting enough, Amekaneli, after, being out since, I want to say early February with knee problems. He had surgery, had an issue with recovery, but since then has been on the mend and is now on the field, and he's doing his fitness program. And so, I think he'll be training with the team, I believe, in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And so obviously we plan for having Amekaneli at the start of the season. But the fact that he's coming in the next 2 to 3 weeks it's great for him. You can just see the joy in his face, but it's also great for our team. Picking up essentially a new player in this transfer window in that position.
All right, before I set you loose, Leagues Cup action, still kind of new to this tournament, learning about it, but didn't go your way against Tigres. You were able to get to penalty kicks, and you lose 6-5, so you do grab a point. So give me a thought on that match, and then give me a preview for what you're up against on Saturday.
Yeah, again, Tigres is the reigning Champions Cup CONCACAF champions, best team in the region last year. And we knew it was going to be a stiff match, and just observing it from the sideline and then going back and reviewing the tape, we played a great game, and we actually created enough opportunities to win the game. And the big chance that I spoke about earlier, we had a one-on-one with our goalkeeper and didn't finish it, right? But in all the phases of the game, I thought we did a really, really good job. Stingy defensively, I thought we progressed the ball really well, created some really good opportunities on goal. And then we lose in PKs. And so, I think from a coaching perspective, I'm always asked about results. And the thing is, that's what I'm in charge of, but that's not where I focus my attention, because you can't control those. And so basically, if we score that one-on-one, it's a 2-1 game, and we close it out, and we're celebrating a win, but the performance would have been the same, right, minus that one play. And then it goes to the PKs and the same thing. And so if the PK hits the post and goes in, we're excited because we get 2 points. But if it hits the post and goes out, and so it does affect emotion, but it shouldn't affect the way I, as a coach, judge the performance. Because at the end of the day, it's only performances, consistent performances, that are going to dictate whether you're a consistent winner or loser, right? And so for me, it's really focusing on the positive. We're one play away from winning that game. We didn't win, we tied. And then we lost in the penalty shootout because the post and goes out versus going in. And so it's just kind of continuing to reframe the success of our group with performances. And, it's been a little tough on the road. We've started out this part of the season on the road. And, again, wonderful performance against LAFC, but we lose because we were up against killers on a day that just were ruthless. And then, we go to Portland on the road, first 30 minutes, we couldn't have played better. We have a 1-0 lead, and then we get a red card. And so, there's so many things to think about that affect results. And I continue to say, the things that we can affect, we've got to do a better job. The things that are out of our control, let's not waste our energy on, and let's really double down on the stuff that is going to get us to where we want to go. And so tomorrow we have a Atalante team who's coached by Herrera, who's a famous Mexican national team coach. He's been really successful, so it's been really interesting watching the tapes and watching how his teams play. It should be a really exciting game. They have a really good attacking group. They're vertical in the way they play, pick up seconds, and create transition moments from those second balls. And that's something that we've been working on defensively. But tomorrow it's really about, just playing brave, playing free, and playing our type of football. And that's usually getting the first goal and then managing the game from that perspective. So I look forward to a really good performance, a spirited performance from our group, and hopefully a performance that's worthy of the 3 points that we'll need to continue on in this tournament.
All right, buddy, good stuff today. Hope you didn't sleep for longer than 20 minutes. We know the rule, okay? So that's the deal. Thanks for the time, man. Good luck tomorrow, okay?
All right, bud. Thank you, Spence.
All right, Pablo Mastroianni, head coach of RSL, back in action tomorrow in Leagues Cup play. And according to Pablo, Gozo is essentially gone. Good for him, sad for the club. Time now for our You Into Golf PGA Tour update. Join You Into Golf by Worldwide Golf Shops today for the latest deals on Ping, Titleist, TaylorMade, Callaway, Mizuno, and more. They've got club fitting technology, 90-day satisfaction guarantee, golf simulators, indoor hitting bays, full-service repair and regripping, indoor putting green, experienced service professionals serving Utah golfers since 1971. Check them out at youintogolf.com. The PGA Tour is at the Wyndham Championship at the Sigfield Country Club in Greensboro, North Carolina. Big moving day for Jordan Smith, who's at 11 under par, as is Ben James. Bo Hostler was your leader yesterday. He's at 10 under. Alex Smalley, David Skins, and Doug Gim at 9 under par. Let me get an update on Tony real quick. Oh, Tony got a birdie. Okay, so Tony's on the right side of the cut line. He's at 3 under par through 16. If he can avoid a bogey on 17 or 18, Tony Finau will play the weekend. So some good stuff there. All right, big event coming up tomorrow, Homers for a Cause. It's a fundraiser for young Samantha, 15 years old, and she's battling cancer. Just heartbreaking there. And the president of the WFMBL is Mark Johnson, live in studio. What's up, Mark? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So let's just kind of review the basics here. So there's an all-star game at 9 a.m.,
Correct.
right, at Lindquist Field in Ogden. And then the home run derby itself gets going at what time?
About 11:30.
Okay, about 11:30. So tell all of our listeners how they can get involved.
Yeah, so anyone can show up. This home run derby is going to be open to the public, so anyone can show up before the home run derby or even during the open entry period, which is 11:30 to about 5.
Okay.
They'll be able to pick what their donation level is, whether that's going to be a $10 entry, the $20 or the $50 entry, and then they'll compete in the home run derby at that point. And try and get as many points as they can. We then take the top 8 scores out of that and put them in the championship round there. That starts at 5:30, and from 5:30 to 6:30 is the championship round for the trophy. Anyone can come in and watch, participate, donate, however they want to participate in this. That's completely open.
And you had referenced you can use whatever bat you want.
Yes, you can use whatever bat. So if you come in and you want to use your drop 10 aluminum bat that's going to send the ball flying, by all means do that. If you use a wood bat or a BB core bat, we give you bonus points for that because that's a harder bat to hit home runs with. So.
What if you use a wood bat that's corked? Is that still a thing?
I have not run into that personally, and so that's an interesting scenario you just brought up. I've never run into that.
That was like a controversy in baseball for a while, right?
It very much was.
Okay. So you get extra points if you use a wood bat.
Correct.
As opposed to like an aluminum bat. And let's kind of review a couple of other things. You can bring your own pitcher if you'd like, or you can use somebody who's there.
Yeah, you can use one of our league pitchers that we'll have on site if you don't have somebody to throw to you. Or if you have somebody that you prefer that throws well to you, you can bring whoever you want.
Will there be drug tests on site?
No drug tests on site.
Oh, Porter, you can participate. You're good there. You're in the clear. Yeah, because if Porter ran up there, I mean, we'd have some questions. What's the format? I mean, how many pitches do you get and all that stuff?
Yeah, so the pitches depend on what you pay, right? If you pay the smallest entry fee of $10, you're going to get 5 swings. Okay. It's not like an amount of pitches; it's how many times you swing the bat.
Got it.
So you get 5 swings, and all 5 of those swings are what we're going to call our fighting cancer balls. And those will actually, they don't count a score, but they can actually get you our big like $5,000 grand prize that's going to be out there.
Okay.
If you do the $20 one, that'll get you 15 swings. Those 15 swings will count towards your score, towards the derby. The last 5 of those 15 swings will be those prize balls that'll help you win those big prizes that we'll have out in the field. And then the $50 is the super round where you get 15 swings. All your points count towards your score, and all 15 swings are those prize ball swings.
Huh. Okay. How long is this? The first time you've done this before?
No, this is actually going to be our 4th year doing this.
Your 4th. Okay. Yeah. So give me an idea of the players that show up. I mean, are these guys that are raking? They can take it deep.
So we always invite our league guys that are leading the league in home runs to come participate. We've got about 10 guys that do that. Our league leader's got like 7 home runs on the year.
Okay.
So it's not too crazy, but our format and how we do this is point based on how far you hit the ball. So even if you, like me, I'm not a home run hitter. I'm more of a contact guy, but I can drive the ball to the gap, right? So as long as I can consistently drive the ball to the gap, I can gain points just by hitting the warning track or hitting the wall.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that makes sense. And again, tell us about this worthy cause, why you guys are doing this.
Yeah, so it's our way as a league to give back to the community that serves us. So each year we partner with Intermountain Healthcare to identify a local kid in the area that's battling cancer. This year is Samantha. And she is, in the fight of her life with that. And so we are looking to just try and raise as much money as we possibly can to help her and her family in this fight.
Awesome. Where can people go get the information to donate and all the good stuff?
So if you go to our website, wfmbl.org, there's a page on there. It says Homers for a Cause. You click on that, and on that page, you'll see a registration. If you want to sign up for the Derby preemptively, you can. Or if you just want to donate, there's a link right there. You just click donate now, and you can donate to the cause right there off the website.
It's wfmbl.org. The field is Lindquist Field, where the Raptors play up in Ogden. It is tomorrow starting at 9 a.m., open to the public. It is Homers for a Cause. and we're trying to help them out on the show today. Mark, good to see you, man.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, we'll catch a quick break. Coming up next, we will get the latest on the Jazz NBA offseason and the latest on the NBA as a whole with Howard Beck. Bill Bush will join us to talk some college football. Then it's Jordan Bloxham for some golf. Busy Friday show. Good to have you with us right here on ESPN 700. See, I didn't know that we were trying to impress Howard Beck today. But what you're telling me, Porter, we'll let this run a little bit. So this is Airborne Toxic Event live here in like in the cantina outside?
Yeah.
Was it an X96 concert?
It was. It was a little X Lounge, as you recall.
Oh, that's right.
And yeah, the Airborne Toxic Event just sounds like something Todd Newcomb would put on the radio.
It does, because he's our hipster, but Howard Beck is the NBA's hipster. I looked up the hippest cities in America: Portland, Oregon, Austin, Texas, and Brooklyn, New York, which is where we find our guy, right? What's up, Howard?
What's happening, Spence? It's been a few weeks. What a great way to come back to the show with Airborne Toxic Event, playing live in your town. That's phenomenal. Shout out to my guy, Mikel Jolet, lead singer and founder of the band. Great stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, playing live in our building, because we have 6 radio stations here at Broadway, and one of them is the hippest radio station in town, X96.
There you go. Only appropriate.
What
it
have
all lines up. Have you been? I need to know. Like, have you been doing the deep dive on the band? Have you been listening between the weeks that I talked to you?
I have. They're excellent. You were right. When you first said the name on the show, I'm like, that band can't be real. But because it sounds like something that a hipster would make up. But you were right. They're very excellent. Have you seen any shows so far? Not just Airborne, but any shows during the off season yet?
In the off season, no. We have a bunch coming up. I did see an REM tribute show the other night. Not the Jason, Michael Shannon and Jason Narducci one. We did see that many months ago. But there was just like at City Winery here, there was like, I don't know, just some nameless band that was doing an REM tribute night. So that was fun. But we got a bunch coming up. We're going to see Phoebe Bridgers. Who else we got coming? You know what? We saw Paul Simon.
Nice.
How about that for being?
Nice.
How about that for hipsterism? In Queens, also a hip place. But we saw Paul Simon. I figured, there's a certain point where you got to see the legends because you don't know how many more opportunities you might get to see them. So that was great.
Very nice.
Our last one. While we're here, in October we're seeing Weezer, but mostly because, no disrespect to Weezer, the Shins are one of the opening bands, and I love the Shins.
Oh, fun.
So that'll be great.
Nice. Yeah, Weezer was here last year for Kilby. Have you ever heard of Kilby Court? We have a pretty hipster music festival out here.
I don't know that one. Should I come?
You should. Kilby Court, and because of X96, we can get you free tickets. It's on me, Howard.
Phenomenal. I'm there.
There you go. I don't know that Walker Kessler is a hipster, but he is a Laker. And since you and I last spoke.
Great transition.
Well, there you go. I've been doing it for a while. Since you and I last spoke. And what's wild is 10 days before the transaction, I interviewed Austin Ainge and Ryan Smith. We had them on the show. And they both talked about Walker as part of the plan moving forward. There are two sides to the coin here. A lot of people have applauded the value play. And a lot of people are going, well, wait a second. Like, we thought he was a big piece of this team's future. What was your reaction to the Walker Kessler news?
A little surprised, but, there had been murmurings and leaks indicating there was a pretty, significant gap between what the Jazz wanted to pay Walker Kessler and what Walker Kessler wanted. And so, like, the table was set for them to part ways. And meanwhile, you've got the Lakers, who I don't think it's a stretch to say are kind of desperate to remake this team on the fly around Luka. And Luka apparently wanted Walker Kessler, and he fits the prototype of center who would thrive next to Luka. And so, I think there's probably some combination of gap in how Walker Kessler was valued by the Jazz, by Walker Kessler himself, and by the Lakers. There's that piece of it. And then, I think the Jazz, to their credit, and this is, I think, a Danny Ainge hallmark, and now Austin Ainge, Justin Zanuck, all of them. I think part of the play here is, like, when you're not contending yet, then be smart, be opportunistic, and don't overspend on guys that you have deemed as an organization might not be worth the amount that they're demanding in a second apron era of the NBA. You can lock yourself up. You can really mess yourself up for the future. And so if the Lakers come along and say, listen, we'll break the bank for him. We think he's awesome. We value him more than you do. And you're the Jazz and you know him best and his injury history and everything else and his potential limitations, whatever it may be. and there's an opportunity to squeeze some other value in trade, then you do it. Does that set them back potentially a little bit in the short term? It might. And that was going to be a pretty formidable looking front court, may still be, but more so with him there. So mixed feelings on the Jazz part of it, not mixed feelings on the Lakers part of it. I think they overspent both in dollars and in trade.
Yeah, I do tend to agree with that piece of it. The one portion that I think is a little bit, well, it's certainly unknown. I mean, Mark Walter now owns the Lakers, and Mark Walter, for those that aren't familiar, is the guy that's basically buying World Series titles year after year. And, you know, it's 2 picks and 2 swaps that will come from the Lakers for Walker. And with the caveat of this is the NBA, you never know. If Mark Walter is willing to spend money on the Lakers like he is with the Dodgers, it's hard for me seeing any of those picks being anything other from like 25 to 30, you know?
Yes, but picks just became more valuable because of lottery reform.
Yep.
And so you have a down year, Luka gets hurt, and, you know, suddenly the pick is in play, and because of the way the odds are all goofy now, what if it jumps up? I mean, there's a lot of risk there. Also, if you're the Lakers and you've got a still fairly long runway here with Luka, and now, you know, LeBron's gone, so you've made the clean break. It's now a Luka-centric franchise. You need cheap, you know, NBA labor, meaning draft picks and the players that come with them, to help supplement, because it's at a certain point, it's not about how much you're willing to spend. This isn't the NBA of, you know, yesteryear, where despite other mechanisms designed to even the playing field, you could outspend the competition in the past. The Warriors were doing it by hundreds of millions, counting luxury taxes, and so were the Clippers. You can't do that now. I mean, you can, but you're going to lose every ability to do anything with your roster. The second apron locks teams up. This is not about who's willing to spend the most anymore. This is not about who's willing to pay the luxury tax. This is about whether or not you are willing to hit the second apron and suddenly lose every tool in the toolbox for assembling a roster, especially if something goes wrong and you need to make a fix. So I don't like those picks could very well be worth quite a bit, and the Lakers gave up quite a bit in terms of draft capital.
And the other dynamic here, and you had kind of alluded to this earlier with the financial ramifications of keeping Walker, and we know they wanted to keep him. I mean, they offered him $5,140, which is a good offer. But the Jazz payroll this year is $183.8. And when you look at the aprons, the first apron is $209, the second is $221. So if you added Walker's $28 million to this group, and then you look at Keontae getting his extension next year, if you bring Walker back and then you sign Keontae to an extension, you're scratching the second apron with those contracts. And I don't know that you would look at this team as a team that's worth paying luxury tax penalties for, all due respect.
Yeah, no, at some point you just have to prioritize, right? Like, the good news is, we wake up one day and suddenly we've assembled a pretty good roster. We've got a bunch of really good players, and good players need to be paid. And when they come off their rookie deals, they got to be paid. And when you get a Lowry Markkanen and a Jaren Jackson Jr., who are already mid-career vets, they're already paid a certain premium. Yeah, like at some point you can't pay everybody. And that's more true now than it's ever been in the NBA, because this is virtually a hard cap system. And so it's a hard decision, but they made it. Like, listen, in a world where they never traded for Jaren Jackson Jr., maybe it's a different outcome. And maybe they pay Walker Kessler a little bit more than they had intended to keep him. But, they made their bet. They decided they wanted Jaren Jackson Jr. They've held on to Lowry Markkanen. Keontae George is blossoming. You've got Ace Bailey. You got Darren Peterson now, and like a couple of years from now, he'll be up for an extension. Like, you got to make tough decisions. This whole system is designed to force you to make hard decisions.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it's only summer league, and I get it. Darren Peterson looks like he's ready, like right now. And, there's part of me that believes, and a part of me that knows, according to some people over there, is they kind of, Howard, view their timeline with Darren and Ace, who are both 19, right? And so, Walker to the Lakers, you get the value play. Marketing Jaren Jackson Jr., Nurkic, who played pretty well for Will Hardy. You've got some veteran players that can kind of start to teach Darren and Ace what it's like to maybe win on a little bit higher level. I don't know what they're going to do this year. But I think they're like viewing this entire thing like when Darren and Ace are 23, 24 in 4 or 5 years, maybe some things have shifted in the West, and maybe that's when they feel like they can make their real play.
Yeah, and I do think that that's a smart way of looking at it, because when you're a young team that has, spent a few years tanking and you're ready to turn the corner and start spending again, and you've got your guys and you think this is the promising core now, you do look ahead and you start to plot out like, okay, where's the moment where we can make the big leap, right? Like they will not be 15th this coming season, so there's the good news. But how far are they rising, and what is the year where you think we can actually jump from, the lower third to the middle third of the Western Conference? When do we think we're a play-in team, playoff team, and which teams ahead of us are we waiting to see when they kind of crack, right? Like the Warriors are teetering a little bit. The Clippers are teetering. We'll see if that Kawhi Leonard deal goes through. The Suns are okay. The Blazers are okay. Like these aren't like great teams, but the Mavericks have Cooper Flag, and the Grizzlies have assembled some good young talent themselves. And so you start looking at who's ahead of you and who you can hope to reasonably leapfrog. But yeah, I think the Jazz can still. It's funny because they're taking the patient path on some level because you've got two young guys with a ton of promise. But Jaren Jackson is mid-career, and so is Lauri Markkanen. And so, you're trying to accelerate it too. I don't know where they hope to be next season, but it will be interesting to see how much of a leap they can make.
Speaking of Kawhi Leonard, Howard, and Porter would be mad at me if I didn't ask you this because he cares about this more than anyone. But look, this continues to be such a horrific look for not just Kawhi and Steve Ballmer, but the NBA. Like, what is Adam Silver doing? We're inching towards mid-August. Camps are going to be here before we know it. And Pablo Torre again finds a piece of information that Kawhi Leonard also had a sponsorship agreement allegedly worth millions of dollars with the company that designed the Clippers video board inside the Intuit Dome, in addition to what he apparently had with that now bankrupt green company that just needed to plant a tree and couldn't even do that. Like, this is beyond anything that I think we've ever heard of. Now, maybe some deals for some equity and side companies have taken place throughout the course of the league. But where are you at with this story, and what do you think has taken Adam Silver so long?
I think, in fairness, this is not about how long it's taking Adam Silver. They hired a law firm, Wachtell Lipton, who they've used many times in the past, and said, go do this investigation for us. I think fairly, you cannot tell the law firm, in whatever it is, June, July, whenever it is, just stop. We know you're still going. We know you said you haven't actually reached a conclusion yet, but just stop and wrap it up. This is too embarrassing. There's too much pressure. There's too much noise. There's too much blowback. We just need to wrap it up. Whatever you got, let's just go. You can't do that. Like, you are trying to come to a conclusion about an incredibly serious infraction, if I can call it that. That's almost too light of a term. That if the Clippers are guilty of, as I think probably most of the free world believes they are, then it implies you need to render some pretty serious punishment, whether that's fines, suspension of Ballmer, suspension of other team officials from Lawrence Frank on down. You can't do that if you don't have a complete investigation, or if you've left holes, or if the law firm is telling you, there's still these people that we're trying to get, and we think they are the ones with the smoking gun, or they're the ones who can corroborate this. And like, if you think it's there, but it's not airtight enough, the Clippers, Steve Ballmer, are going to sue you. And if you try to void Kawhi Leonard's contract, he's going to sue. And the Players Association is going to file a grievance. And same if it's not avoiding, but just a long suspension. So if where we're heading is some sort of like severe discipline for the Clippers and or Kawhi Leonard, then you have to have an airtight case. So I will defend the league on that count. Yeah, it's embarrassing it got this far. I didn't anticipate it was going to still be going on either, and it's not great. But the alternative can't just be, well, just stop for the sake of stopping and just wrap it up.
So this is tough because you make some good points about the red tape, the legal ramifications of jumping the gun. And you want all your ducks in a row, especially because Steve Ballmer is a very powerful, rich man. But when you kind of consider all the layers here, are we left to believe that the trade was maybe a plea from the Clippers just to be like, okay, we need – because there's a case to be made that they're resetting with some younger pieces. I understand that. But what are we left to kind of take away from the fact that they've traded him? And how do you think that's going to play out?
Well, they haven't traded him.
Or they tried to trade him, yeah.
They had an agreement to trade him, and the trade's on hold. And if I'll just going to say this right now, if this has not been sorted out, if we don't have a conclusion to this investigation by like mid-September, this trade ain't happening, because the Raptors are going to say, like, why would they consummate a trade in September, mid-September, with no conclusion and still not sure what the ramifications might be for Kawhi Leonard if they weren't willing to do it right now or 3 weeks ago? So, like, there's a very strong I want to say strong possibility. There is a reasonable possibility that this trade never happens. Now, we're still, 4 or 5 weeks away from when things get serious, because camps open late September. But if it's not concluding by then, and if the league signals it won't, I don't think that trade's happening. Now, they could always trade him later. They could always, have the humiliation and awkwardness of Kawhi Leonard going to camp with the Clippers and Brandon Ingram going to camp with the Raptors, and then they get the conclusion of the investigation, and then once the air clears, maybe you make the trade later. I don't know. But there is no trade. To your question, the Clippers were trying to get off Kawhi, and they found a team willing to take him at a time when we didn't know what his fate would be. And I just think it was foolish for the Raptors to rush into this in the first place. Like, credit to them for hitting the brakes, but they should have never agreed in the first place.
Let me ask you one more Jazz question. The over-under for wins was released after the Walker trade, and the Vegas over-under odds for wins for the Jazz is 34.5, which feels low, but that's 11th in the West. And, the Walker deal certainly affected that. But I think a lot of people around here, we got a little wild with expectations, as folks around here sometimes are wont to do. I never thought it was going to be like a top 4 team or anything. But I think they can knock on the door with the play-in. And if they do, they're going to have to win at least 40-42. Are you surprised that number is as low as it is?
Not necessarily. So 10th in the West last season was the Warriors at 37 wins. So 10th in the East was 43. So, like, somewhere in that range, like, you could get to the play-in with a losing record, right? Maybe it's more like 39, 40 wins, or maybe 500, at 41. That's still a pretty big, like, the Jazz getting to 40 wins is like almost doubling their win total. It's not unheard of. We saw the Pistons do that like consecutive years where they were like, making these massive leaps. It's possible. Look, I guess we go through this again, right? Are the Jazz going to be better than the Kings? I'm going to say yes. Are they better than the Grizzlies? Probably. Are they better than the Mavericks? I'm not sure. Better than the Pelicans? I never know what to make of the Pelicans. They always look great on paper. How well will the Warriors survive waiting for Jimmy Butler to get back? Do they have another move to make? But Steph is Steph. I don't know who the Clippers are because we don't know if Kawhi Leonard is there or not, but they still have some talent. So, like, how many teams are they going to leapfrog? And how many wins can you get to from 22 this past season? So, I like 34.5, if that's the over-under. I'm not great at the odds and all that stuff, but that doesn't sound unreasonable. I might bet the over if I were a betting person, which I am not, but I think there's a reasonable chance of them clearing that.
So, since you and I last spoke, we do have the LeBron James decision, and we might be in for this for another, a few summers, because I think a lot of people were of the mindset that, okay, he's going to do the thing again. We're going to do the podcast. We're going to do the live appearances. He's going to tease that he's going to tell us, then he's not. And then, boom, he tells us that it's Philly, and it's a 2-year deal with a player option for year 2. So we might be in for the LeBron James watch again next year. What did you make of how the process played out, and why do you think he chose Philadelphia?
I mean, how the process played out is whatever. I don't. It's not that interesting to me in retrospect. Like, he took his time and he made a decision. And he did it before we all went on vacation. So cool. That was great. The Sixers ultimately made, like, the longer we've gone, the more this has made sense. It's not the team I would have picked or the team I would have thought. I thought he was going to go more for the symmetry and sentimentality of Cleveland, or maybe just the sentimentality of playing with the Warriors and joining up with his old rivals. Maybe Miami, although I never thought that one made that much sense. Like, okay, he spent 4 years there, but are the roots really that deep there? Philly, I did not really take that seriously, but that's my mistake. Like, looking back, it now seems obvious. He's at the end, and he's still choosing teams the same way he did when he left Cleveland the first time, when he left Miami to go back to Cleveland, when he left Cleveland for LA. He chooses the situation where he thinks he's got the best chance of winning at the highest level. And that's not ring chasing. Like, you're supposed to, especially when you're all-time great, you're supposed to try to win rings. Ring chasing is attaching yourself to somebody else who can do it for you, and you're just along for the ride. If they can get there, he's going to be a key reason why. And they are stocked. They do have a lot of talent, but it's talent with a lot of asterisks, Embiid's health and Jaylen Brown's attitude and fitting all these guys together. But it is the place of all of his options that gives him the best chance of making the finals. I think that is pretty clear.
All right, before I set you loose, whether it's Giannis to Miami or LeBron to Philly, it feels like if you're the Knicks, I mean, you just won the thing, so you have that. But I don't know that anyone look, a fully healthy, fully leaded Giannis Antetokounmpo should still scare everybody. Certainly you put him next to Bam, but how do you think the East shakes out next year?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Super deep Eastern Conference now, and a lot of teams that, like, you could talk yourself into winning the East. Like, the Knicks are the obvious favorites, should be the defending champs. But, the Pistons were pretty great last year, and I think just, they'll take care of the Jalen Duren thing. He'll be back, I think, and we'll see where they go. I would have liked to have seen them do a little bit more this summer, but it is what it is. The Celtics, it's funny, people are kind of writing them off, but like they basically swapped a year of Jaylen Brown and no Jason Tatum for now Jason Tatum and no Jaylen Brown. And Jason Tatum's the better player. So do I think that the Celtics – and they stole Mitchell Robinson from the Knicks. Do I think the Celtics can still be a 50-something win team? Like, yeah, so I think they're in the mix. The Cavs will probably still be in the mix. The Raptors, we'll see if they get Kawhi or not, but if they have Kawhi, they're going to be really interesting. And, of course, the Sixers are in there. And, oh, by the way, the team that we keep forgetting about, the Indiana Pacers, who were only in the NBA Finals 13, 14 months ago, have a healthy Tyrese Halliburton again, and they added Zubats, and the rest of the core that made the finals is still there. Like, they should be in the mix. So, like, it's a really interesting conference right now.
Howard, appreciate the time, man. Good stuff. I hope you're enjoying the off season. We'll get you on soon.
Appreciate you, Spence. Thank you.
All right, the great Howard Beck from The Ringer. At Howard Beck is where you find his work on social media. I want to let you know that you can help Utah kids start school with confidence. Over 200 kids at the road home need your help with back-to-school clothes, shoes, backpacks, and more. ESPN 700 invites you to be a child's advocate. Visit ESPN700sports.com or appletreeforkids.com for more information and to donate now. All right, calling on all you weekend warriors, all you softball players, you former baseball players. We have a really cool event coming up tomorrow, 9 a.m., Lindquist Field in Ogden, open to the public, Homers for a Cause fundraiser. And the president of the WFMBL, Mark Johnson, joins us live in studio. What's up, man? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Let's start with a little background. What's the WFMBL? How long have you guys been around?
Yeah, so that's the Wasatch Front Men's Baseball League.
Okay.
We're 18-plus men's recreational baseball. Our motto is don't go soft, so don't go play some softball. Stick with it. We've been around since 1996.
Okay.
I took over as president in 2023.
Oh, very cool. And is it exactly what it sounds like? Just a league for guys who still want to play baseball and not softball?
Absolutely. That's all it is. It's a league for guys to get out there who don't want to give up the dream of playing ball and still want to play some hardball. So we get out there, we have fun with it. We have a full season that goes from April through September, and our playoffs are actually getting ready to start this month, and we have a full championship series and everything.
Do you guys is it exactly what it sounds? Is it regular baseball games, just guys playing baseball?
100%. That's all that is. Yeah.
What's the background of most of the players? Like former high school guys, former college guys?
Yeah. So our talent level ranges. We've got guys that their highest level was Little League. Mm-hmm. Most of the guys have played at least varsity in high school.
Okay.
And then we do have a couple of guys in the league that have played some college ball that, and, they didn't make it past that, like myself. I got to college ball and then didn't go anywhere further and still wanted to play. So I joined the league. And then we actually just picked up an old professional guy that he's done professional, but he still wants to play. So he
very cool
comes in place.
And what's your background? Are you a local guy? Like where'd you play ball?
So I grew up from St. Louis.
Okay.
That's where I'm from originally. And been out here in Utah since about 2014. I ended up playing a couple years up at Weber State.
Cool.
For ball. But yeah, so.
One thing I know about people from St. Louis, they like the Cardinals a little bit, don't they?
Die hard. I think if you talk to my wife, I like them a little too much.
Yeah, we had an experience for a while going to St. Louis because my father was invested in the Blues, and underrated sports town. Oh, yeah. St. Louis residents love their sports teams.
It's a way of life out there.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't. I was just talking over the break. I grew up going to 6 or 7 games every year.
Nice.
as a kid, as part of the little Cardinals kids club they had out there. So it's it literally was a way of life.
Yeah.
If you're out in St. Louis, you're cheering for the Cardinals.
Who's your favorite Cardinal of all time?
Oh, that is such a hard question.
I knew it. He's a real one then. You can throw a couple of names at me.
I've always been a Jim Edmonds fan. Scott Rowland.
Yeah.
Ozzie Smith, if I'm going back.
Ozzie Smith.
Mark McGuire, Bob Gibson. Stan the Man.
Sure.
Yachty. I think my biggest piece of memorabilia I've got is a Yachty piece. So
very nice.
I love Yachty. So.
And what's your position? What do you play?
I was middle infield, second and short.
There you go. Okay, very nice. So if people want information, if you want to join the league, check out the website. But let's talk about the event tomorrow, Homers for a Cause fundraiser. Let's talk about why this is such a good cause, Mark.
Yeah, so it's our annual fundraisers. We give back to the league where we partner with Intermountain Healthcare. They help us locate and find a local kid that's battling cancer. This year it's Samantha, and she's in a fight for her life. She's currently wheelchair bound, and so we are trying to raise as much money as we can to help her and her family in their fight.
And this is what we're doing tomorrow. So tell us about Homers for a Cause. What should we know?
Yeah, so it's an open entry thing. We're going to have a home run derby that anyone can come up and participate in. You can sign up in advance, or you can just show up at the front gate and register. When you get in, you participate, you pay your entry fee. You can try and win some major prizes that we've got going on out there, so you don't actually have to hit home runs to win something big. And we also have a trading card show that's going to be going on at the same time, food trucks, everything. It's going to be a pretty big event.
Let's talk about some of the prizes that are on the line for people to win.
Yeah, so we've got some really cool sponsors that have stepped up this year. Advantage Hole in One has got a $5,000 grand prize that somebody could win.
Nice.
American Batsmith is a free custom baseball bat. Breeze Airways, $500 in airline credit. St. George has donated 2 rounds of golf from Coral Canyon and Copper Rock, and then Rhino Linings from Ogden is doing a free Rhino lining for your bed truck if you can make that one.
Very nice. So let's review the format again for people that are going to show up and participate and try to win some things in the Home Run Derby. Tell us about the format.
Yeah, so you'll come in, you'll pay your fee, depending on how much you get. Depends on it equals to how many swings you get. You'll have a $10, a $20, and a $50 option. The $10 and $15 options, or the 10 and 20, sorry. 10 is 5 swings only, all trying to win those prizes. $20 will get you 15 swings, and you can gain those points to actually go towards the championship and winning the whole thing. And then 5 of those 15 swings will be towards prizes. And then the $50 is all 15 swings go towards prizes, but then also your points do count to try and get you in that championship spot.
And again, you don't necessarily have to hit dingers to get points, right?
Correct. It's all based off on how far you can hit the ball. So about 3/4 of the way out in the outfield, I have a line of flags. You hit it over that flag, you get 1 point. You hit it off onto the warning track, you get 3 points. Off the wall is 5 points, and over the fence is 10.
Is there any extra points like they do in the majors if you hit like an extra far home run?
No, we don't have that because I don't have the technology to track your distance.
Sure. And probably very many weekend warriors aren't showing up hitting 500 feet home runs, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Mark, where can people go get all the information?
Our website is the best place to get all the information. Is wfmbl.org. There's some links on there that you can pre-register for the Derby if you'd like to. You can just donate if you just want to get on and donate to the cause. You can get on that, and it should have all the information there for you as well.
WFMBL.org. It's Homers for a Cause fundraiser. It's at Lindquist Field in Ogden where the Raptors play, open to the public. Tomorrow it's going to start at 9 a.m., so check it out, WFMBL.org. Mark, thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, we'll catch a break. Coming up next, two big pieces of legislation in the Protect College Sports Act that will affect Utah football. We'll tell you what they are and why coming up right here on ESPN 700. Camp Scally is underway for Utah football, but you already knew that. For the best coverage of Utes fall camp, keep it tuned in to the OC Show and The Drive with Spence Checketts, this show you're listening to right now. And visit ESPN700sports.com. Camp Scally is brought to you by CenXL JBR, Beer Bar, Citron Cooperman, and your Utah Toyota dealers on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. I got to say one thing. Well, several things.
You got to say plenty of things.
Got to say a lot of things.
We got a few more hours.
Yeah, we got a lot of radio left to do. And I'm not going to get too deep into it. I'm just going to say this. During Enes Kanter's second year here, I was with the Jazz. I was on the Jazz radio broadcast, and I had someone on the coaching staff. I was actually at a practice. I had someone on the coaching staff just say to me, like, he's just too dumb to learn anything that we try to teach him. He's big. He's physical. He can move. He has some good skill. He has some touch around the bucket. Because I was asking him, like, I don't feel like Enes is getting any better at all. Because we had John Calipari on the radio show when Enes had been drafted by the Jazz. And I asked Calipari, and, of course, all the college coaches are going to sell their guys. So I asked John on the show. I said, all right, tell Jazz fans what they're getting. And if there is a used car salesman that's better than John Calipari at his job, I would be stunned. And that's who Cal is. He's like, I remember what he said. He said, so what are the Jazz getting with Enes Kanter? He said, have you ever heard of Karl Malone? I was like, okay, so this is the second coming of Karl Malone, huh? Anyway, he went on to sell. And look, the thing about Enes is there were nights where he'd go for 28-12. And you're like, okay, like this might work a little bit. He could not learn basic defensive concepts. He may be the worst pick-and-roll defensive player in the history of the game. And I'm not kidding. That's why he couldn't stick. Teams saw some offensive talent. They would take some chances on him because they would see numbers, and he could shoot it a little bit. He had good footwork around the basket, and he'd get rebounds. But the coach, when I said, I don't feel like he's getting any better, he said, and this was off the record, coach is no longer here, of course. He said, there's one problem with Enes. He is dumb. He is straight stupid. There was actually a moment on the radio broadcast that I actually wish we had. I was listening after pregame, and Quinn Snyder was the coach, and Enes, it was like the fourth pick and roll that he just couldn't figure out defensively in the first quarter. And you could hear on the radio broadcast, Quinn call a timeout and yell at Enes, you bleeping suck. And it was clear as day on the radio broadcast. Oh, man. So I don't want to I'm not into this entire thing to dunk on one side or the other politically and make stupid points about things that seem to be very common sense to me. I'm just going to say this. Enes Kanter continues to show that he is just a dumb human. That's where he's a dumb person. That's it.
You want to expand on
No, I don't. You can go look it up if you want. It's just dumb.
You want me to touch on that? Yeah, and he really likes attention. That's the other part of it.
Trying to stay relevant.
He really wants to be relevant. And listen, for those wondering, he has declared for the 2027 WNBA draft. He's just trying to lean into an attention outrage machine, right, that would keep his name in people's mouths a little bit longer. And here's the deal. It's a very complex and nuanced discussion that we're talking about, right, when it comes to gender in sports and in women's basketball. It's one that you can have many takes on and can probably have some hypocritical or confused takes on, regardless of what they are. But when it's broken down with Enes, a very complex and nuanced situation becomes very simple. He likes attention, and that's kind of it.
He's a dumb human who wants to stay relevant, and I'll just leave it there. Here's what I want to talk about, though, because I do find this really interesting. We touched on it during the opening segment. And Porter, stay frosty here because, for the listeners that don't know, Porter does our Utah football pregame show. He's at the practices. He's at every presser. He did Witt's coach's show forever. I'm sure he'll be doing Morgan's show forever. In fact, let me just ask you before I dig into this. When you hear, or I'll phrase it differently, what do you hear about Utah football, Utah athletics potentially landing in the Big Ten? Is that ever something that topically comes up when you're at the football building?
No. I have only heard that from like Twitter and blog boards. I've never heard anything about the Big Ten necessarily from people who are in the know. That being said, they wouldn't probably discuss it in the open, especially with a radio fella hanging around, lurking, if you will. I think that it's a lofty goal. It's also one where I think if you look at a USC or a UCLA, it's money-wise great, but not always going to bring you the results you might expect. I mean, we got to see where the plane lands in big picture college football before this becomes a reality. But as you're alluding to, with some rules and laws being passed, there's now, I believe, a couple month, maybe 4-month window where we may see some more conference big picture changes in college football, because it's kind of forcing the hand of some of these changes. If the Big Ten wants more teams, if the SEC wants more teams, they're going to have to put the gas on the pedal to make it happen pretty soon before they would be penalized for doing so. So if the Big Ten or SEC expands, it might happen in the next few months. And that is interesting for teams that are maybe kind of on the outside looking in or think that they have an angle to get into one of those conferences. I don't know, man. I don't know that I'm ready for it after the last 2 years of having to be on our heels with all the Pac-12 stuff.
Here's why it's topical today. Okay, so to add some context there, I have talked to people in the athletic department and with the university that I used this term earlier. For some, it's not just a hope. For some, it's a belief that that's the ultimate landing spot for Utah in the Big Ten. Now, just speaking for me personally, I cannot corroborate that. I have no idea. If talks are happening, I don't know if phone calls have been made. I hear from people that tell me those have been made, but I'm not in the rooms. I have no idea. And when we have the Ross Dellingers, the Stuart Mandells, the Nicole Auerbachs on the show, I always ask them, from Florida, okay? Florida, where Florida State and Miami play football in the ACC. And if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. If you're not in the Big Ten or the SEC, even though the ACC and the Big 12 are safe spaces for now, you're not part of the biggest piece of this ecosystem where the Big Ten and the SEC are. They just are. Data, NFL players, money, TV deals, stadiums, there's nothing. Even the biggest Big 12 shill, and there's so many of them, you cannot come to the table with a good faith debate that the Big 12 is on par with the Big 10 and the SEC. The biggest ACC shill cannot do that either. And I'm talking about football. Both the Big 12 and the ACC have excellent basketball programs, right? But this is a football deal. So Ashley Moody, senator from Florida, is the one who has filed these amendments. Miami and Florida State play their college football in Florida, just so we're clear. ACC schools that would very much love to join Florida in the SEC. The amendment is this. The one that is pertinent to this conversation is this. If a power league school wants to move to another power conference, the school can avoid the 5-year probationary period if it withdraws from its league within 180 days of the bill's enactment. We don't know when the bill will be ratified or passed and completely done, But the date that it is passed into law, the date that it is passed and is signed and it suddenly becomes reality, schools in Power 4 conferences have 180 days to remove themselves from their current conference to avoid the 5-year probationary period. And if you read the tea leaves, of course, this amendment filed by a senator from Florida, it has to indicate Miami and Florida State. And look, we've long known Florida State has been trying to get out of the ACC. That's not breaking news. But what does this mean for Utah football or BYU football for that matter? Excuse me. Because if the people that I've spoken to who do believe the Big Ten is an option, if they're right, we might have to prepare for Utah leaving the Big 12 within the next 180 days. If they leave the Big 12 in the next 180 days, they better damn sure have a guarantee that the Big Ten is the landing spot. They have to. I mean, I have no other reason to believe there would be sound decision-making behind that process if the Big Ten is not a reality. Because if you leave the Big 12 and the Big Ten is not there as your safety net, what's the contingency plan? You going to join the Pac-12 again? We got Oregon State and Washington State and Utah State on the conference schedule. So bottom line is this. Whether it's Florida State or Miami out of the ACC or Utah or BYU out of the Big 12, we will find out if there's actual conversations going on or if there are promises being made after this deal is ratified during the next 180 days, who actually has a good hand to be dealt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of forces the hand of both institutions and the conferences to get the wheels turning more than they already have been, right? Now, as you mentioned, if and when that bill passes is another part of it, right? Because now we're playing politics. And listen, I understand it's the direction we're moving. It continues to leave me with a little sour taste in my mouth, just how involved and now how in control corporate money is in college sports, to the point where they can influence laws in order to kind of get what they want. And that's kind of the story of both college football and the NBA, as we talked about. It's a new place. It's a new space for the sports world, and it's kind of interesting to see just how deep it goes.
There are senators pushing this to be passed ASAP. Most people believe it's going to bleed into September, and some people believe it's going to be passed pretty quickly. There's a Notre Dame element to this, too. The Big Ten would love it if Notre Dame decided they wanted to join a conference. Of course, they have the ACC scheduling tie. Does Miami want the Big Ten or the SEC? Which of those schools want them? What does it mean for Clemson or Carolina or UVA? I mean, there are a lot of really interesting things to consider here as the Protect College Sports Act continues to inch its way through the floor. All right, cool event coming up. Homers for a Cause fundraiser. It is tomorrow at 9 a.m. Lindquist Field in Ogden, Utah. Mark Johnson, the president of the WFMBL, is live in studio. What's up, Mark? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
All right, we are appealing to the public to join and help a very worthy cause. Let's start there. What is this cause?
Yeah, so the cause is we as the Wasatch Front Men's Baseball League every year try and identify a local kid in the area that's battling cancer. We partner with Intermountain Healthcare to do that. This year it's Samantha, and she's battling a pretty aggressive form of cancer that's currently got her wheelchair bound. So our goal in this is to get as many people out here to the event as possible, come out, hang out, have a good time, and raise as much money as possible for her fight and her family's fight against cancer.
And what exactly is this event? What should the public know?
It's it's Homers for a Cause. It's a home run derby combined with a trading card show that we're putting on at Lindquist Field. It's like you said, it's open completely to the public. Anyone can come in and show up and participate. It's free to get in, so you don't even have to spend any money just to enter the stadium and come watch or come look at the card show or anything like that. But if you want to participate in the home run derby, there is a fee to pay. And depending on how much you pay, whether the 10, the 20, or the $50 price point, will get you a certain amount of swings in the Derby that you can attempt to either win the championship of the Derby or even just take a few swings and try and win some really cool prizes that we've got going on out there.
And tell us about those prizes.
Yeah, some of those prizes we have. There's a $5,000 grand prize. There's a $500 airline voucher for Breeze Airways. We've got a really cool golf vacation package down to St. George to play Coral Canyon and Copper Rock, included with some hotel for that. Rhino Linings is donating a free Rhino Line bed cover for your truck if you hit that one. So some really cool prizes going on out there.
Is there an age limit? Is there like an age range or?
Yeah, no, this is completely open to the public.
Okay.
So we actually have two divisions. So our little leaguers that come in, I've got a whole separate thing for them. They can come in and compete, and I'll have a junior trophy to give out as well as the adults.
Oh, very cool. And then let's review the format. You can bring your own bat. You can bring your own pitcher. Or if not, they'll be provided for you.
Yeah, all that stuff is going to be provided for you if you don't have it. So a bat and pitcher. But if you've got somebody or you've got your own setup that you like, that you feel like it's going to give you the edge, by all means, bring it and show us what you got.
And also, you don't just have to hit home runs to get points, right?
Correct. Yeah. So it's based on how far you can hit the ball. We have a line of marked flags about 3/4 of the way out in the outfield. You hit it over that line of flags, you get 1 point. You hit a fly ball onto the warning track, you get 3. Off the wall is 5, and over the fence is 10. So you get those 15 swings. However many points you get in those swings is what your score is at the end of the open entry period, which goes from 11:30 to 5. We take the top 8 scores, we throw them in the championship bracket. They follow the new MLB format for the Home Run Derby and compete for the trophy.
And where can people go get all the information they need?
Yeah, our website has everything you need, wfmbl.org. Click on the Homers for a Cause page on the website. You'll scroll down and you should be able to see a registration link there if you want to pre-register for the Derby. Or if you want to just donate to the cause, there's a donate button there too that you can click on and donate to the cause.
WFMBL.org. That's WFMBL.org. It's Homers for a Cause. It's a fundraiser going on tomorrow at 9 a.m. in Lindquist Field in Ogden, open to the public, benefiting Samantha, 15 years old, who's battling cancer. So let's get some people there. Go to the website now, WFMBL.org. Mark, you're the man.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll catch a break. Bill Bush, former Utah safeties coach, the man that actually saw Morgan Scalley as a running back and said, I'm going to make him a safety, will join us to talk some college football. Coming up next on ESPN 700. Utah football camp rolls on. Fall camp is here, essentially meaning football is back, and we're 27 days away, man. We are right around the corner from Idaho, rolling into town on Thursday, September the 3rd to take on the Utes. Our next guest, longtime college football coach. He's a national champion, and Ron McBride this week on the radio show credited him with turning Morgan Scalley into a safety. Bill Bush back on the program on a Friday. What's up, man? How are you? Good to talk with you.
Oh, God, it's great to talk to you guys. You know what a fan I am of the state of Utah and all programs, and obviously the Utes mean a special piece in my heart. But to get a chance to talk to you guys and talk about some football and everything, and like you said, it's finally time to get to talk about it a little bit where it gets a little bit more real, because it's not as much fun to talk about in March.
Yes, sir. And we've got to start with what I mentioned. So we had Mac in studio for an hour, which, of course, is always awesome, talking about his.
What a treat that would be.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
yeah.
God, do I love that man.
Yep, he's the best. We're talking about his charity concert. We'll kind of hit some of those talking points throughout the course of the show today. And he told the story of Morgan Scalley once upon a time and he was an unbelievable running back in high school and wanted to be a running back in college. But Coach Mack told the story about how you saw a safety in Morgan and certainly turned him into a very, very good player. Tell us about that story, Coach.
I just saw, I always noticed Morgan. He was basically the third running back at the time. We had a couple good backs that were ahead of him, and sometimes that just happens. I mean, the position changes, different things I've seen, careers change has been unbelievable. But I just brought it up, and so they agreed to let me at least talk to him about it. The offensive staff did. And so I visited with him if he had any interest. And so he agreed to work out. So it was in between two-a-days of safety, but, mentally he's not there. He wants to be a running back. And so just kind of moved on. And that was probably about at 12:45. I think our first meeting for the afternoon practice was about 2:30. And I walked into my meeting room and Morgan was sitting in my room. And we just went from there. That's how the whole transaction happened. It happened in one day. All of a sudden, he came over to play safety and was, obviously immediately got him involved in packages and playing. And then obviously just became a phenomenal player. And him and Dave Revel is a pair of safeties. I don't know if I've ever had two that good together. I've had some really good ones, but those two guys together were an unbelievable tandem. And then he took off to be the Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year. So that's how it happened. That's how it turned around. I just happened to notice how good he was on the practice field, and I'm like, boy, I'd sure like to see him, see if he can play some defense, and it worked out okay.
Did you see at a very early stage when Morgan was playing that maybe there was a coach in him somewhere?
Yes, because of his high intelligence and his ability to process very fast. The reason Morgan was so good at the position was that he could process and he could play things ahead of time, which means, every time you come out, he's like, oh, man, I wonder what the offense is going to do. He knew he was a situational master, so he understood down and distance, formation, tendencies, cues, all those little things that sometimes some guys, struggle with that. And some guys can play really well with them. Sometimes they're playing a little bit behind because they don't have all those clues ahead of time. And Morgan was masterful at being clued into those with pre-snap awareness. And then when the ball snapped, he could also process very fast. And as a coach, that has to happen because, if you're calling the defense and the team's doing tempo against you, you're going to call a defense about every, 11 seconds. So you don't have a lot of time you get to have things in your mind quick and process quick. So his ability to pick up on we were a fairly complicated scheme under Kyle. And so being very complicated, we had a lot of different things in, a lot of disguises, different things. And so Morgan could handle all that at a high level right away. So felt very confident in him. And so, yes, you could see a coach in him in that aspect.
Not sure if you've been following the news, Coach, but Kyle Whittingham coaches Michigan now.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. As someone who knows both Whit and Morgan, what about the two of them would you say is similar? And what about the two of them do you think is a little bit different?
Everybody always has their own traits. And I would say most of them, this will be more similar than different. Obviously, Morgan will have his own niche, which he'll be able to inject into the team. But like I said, the similarities, I'm sure, are going to be about every little detail, and it's going to be about toughness. It's still a full padded game. You still have to be able to tackle, block, do all those things, and that's where, and then up front, and then that's where Utah has always been the difference maker, and that's what Kyle has always been able to install there. So Morgan will follow up with that avenue of it. I think there'll be some things that he'll probably maybe get involved in, maybe a little bit more on the offensive side of the ball, because he'll probably be able to explain the great differences in defense, what he just got done defending. You know, he was defensive coordinator all the way through the bowl game, basically. So he's been boots on the ground with the changing of offenses. So I'm sure he's going to have a hand in the offense too, now that he is free of being that person leading the defense to say, here are issues that will be caused offensively. If you guys do this, will cause them a lot of problems. So I could see him having, like I said, to inject some of his skill set into that area. And they were both high energy, so they'll be the same with the energy. But like I said, I see nothing but great things happening from that.
Did you interview Witt last December, Bill?
Yes, we did. We had him on our radio show. It was awesome. We had it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it was very. Excuse me?
I was wondering, because I see the timestamp to be December 19th, 2025. That was kind of in the middle of all the is he staying, is he going stuff, wasn't it?
I believe it was. I remember when he came on, he was fabulous being on. The exact connection between the two, I'm not sure. I just talked to Coach Whittingham yesterday, just via text back and forth on a few things. And I believe if things work out, I'm going to go out there and get a chance to talk to Jay Hill and see Coach Witt and stuff here during camp. I'm hoping that works out. But we stay in very close contact, myself and Coach Whittingham, and like I said, we're texting usually at least weekly, something back and forth. A lot of times we just send music back and forth from the 70s that we like. So that's one of the things. But keeping very close touch with him, and I know he's doing a tremendous job out there.
I wonder if you could help us here in Salt Lake City understand how difficult that decision-making process was for him. I mean, obviously he landed on his feet in a very big way, and we'll all cheer for him out this way to have some good success with Michigan in Ann Arbor. But what do you think that whole thing was like for him, Bill?
Well, I'm sure it was, extremely complicated and very complex because of his passion for Utah and how that played out. And you guys can help me. And I've never had this conversation with Coach Whittingham, but it kind of appeared to me, am I right, that he would have liked to have chosen to come back for another year, and it was time with the coach and waiting to move on. Is that correct?
Well, what we know, because of a public request record that was fulfilled by Utah and emails between Mark Harlan and Witt's representative, is Kyle didn't just want to stay here for one more year. He was asking, maybe for a contract extension. And, what the documents revealed is that there was a counteroffer made that included a AD rep in the building, kind of watching over everything and basically handing Morgan the decision-making entirely, even though if Witt was the head coach. So I guess how I'd bottom line it, Bill, is that what was clear with the documents is that he wanted to stay. And there were certain people that felt like it was Morgan's time. I think that's as reductive as I can be with it.
Gotcha. And like I said, I've never had this conversation. One thing as often as me and Coach Witt talk, and obviously I still keep in touch with Morgan. Also, we did not have this conversation because that's just that's a private matter. But I do know that when I talked to Kyle when he first got to Michigan, he was extremely happy. I can tell you this from having the numerous phone conversations with him, that there was never a woe is me. How did this? I can't believe I'm here. This is odd. It was nothing but extremely, extremely positive. Excited about the possibility. I think it's one of those things where it's just an opportunity that presented itself, and what a great situation. Because, like I said, he gets a chance to be in the Big Ten and be in Michigan and have a chance to be in a different location, which is a game changing for just your career path, and then also allowed Morgan to be able to take over, Coach Scally to take over at Utah. And so I know those guys are extremely close. I just don't feel any hard feelings. If there is, I'm just, like I said, through the contacts that I've had with him, Not one word, not one text, everything super positive about the scenario, how it went down, what happened, and where he's at. So I feel very comfortable about talking about that openly, that the Coach Witt's in a great place, and also with Coach Scally.
You're a guy that has spent time at Nebraska, Wisconsin, LSU, in addition to your time out this way. Just help us understand what does it mean to be the head coach at Michigan? Like, how big is this footprint for Witt now?
It's something that until you live it, you wouldn't understand it. And like I said, I've been in 5 different places, in the Big Ten, and been down at LSU and the SEC. But to be the head coach at Michigan in one of basically the 5 schools that would probably be classified as the true blue bloods of the game, also coming off success they came off of. But the reason it stands out is that it's arguably the best rivalry in college football, with Michigan and Ohio State, right up there at Auburn, Alabama. There's ones you can always pick out, but it's one of the epic ones. So you've launched yourself into where football matters at the highest level. It's 10,000 people at the game at the Big House, and it's real, and everything about it is real. To the point of, like I said, there's sometimes when you can escape a little bit. There's no escaping for 1 second really being the head coach at the University of Michigan. That's why a veteran person like that is needed so much in that spot, and that's why it was a brilliant hire. With everything that went on there from the different, obviously there was the turmoil with Harbaugh and missing 6 games, and with the Connor Stallion stuff that's out there. And then obviously with the Sharon Moore and that situation, did they need a steady hand? If they needed it, they crushed it. And I'm not the only one saying that, but to bring somebody else in for it to be a first-time head coach and take over at Michigan, that would be a lot. And some people will push back. Some pundits across the country would push back. But Coach Witt has been in one of the biggest rivalries, that I've ever been a part of, with that BYU Utah. So he understands what it's like to be in a rivalry where it matters. And in those 364 days in between that game, it's always on your mind.
I wanted to get your insight on a question that I asked Coach Mack about, because, Kyle himself. So if we go over this a little bit, Kyle Winningham, Jay Hill, Morgan Scally, Kalani Sitake, guys like you, Gary Anderson, they all seem to talk about this defensive schematic approach started by Big Fred, right? Kyle's dad, and permeating throughout the years, and still to this day with our local teams, with Utah and BYU and Utah State, and now Witt and Jay Hill at Michigan. What does it mean when we talk about this defensive system? As somebody who coached in it, what exactly is it, and why has it been so successful, and how have you seen it change over the years?
Yeah. Well, you could always have to adapt to what you had to defend from the other side. Meaning, we grew up in a 2 wide receiver offense for a lot. 21 personnel, 2 backs, tight end, 2 wideouts. Then it go to a lot of 12 personnel, and sometimes it'd be 22. So it was bigger bodies on the field, and then things got spread out to a more 11 personnel and 3 wide receivers, and sometimes 4. So you had to adapt to the people you put on the field. But the secret sauce isn't a magic call or a defensive schematic thing. The secret is the standard being so high, and that the most important drill of the day is inside run, which means offense, defense, big on big, bodies, and this is what we're going to do. That's the secret to the whole thing, is that the front 7, there's never something that's going to try to be magical. We're going to be square, strong, gap sound, all those things that just keep coming up over and over again. And when teams fail, it's never like, well, they're just not creative enough. They don't have enough of this package. They don't play this specialty. But the one thing is that we're going to be tough up front, and we're going to tackle. That's the magic of Big Fred that he brought, and that's what stayed there forever. And so that's the big plus. Now, we were very dynamic. We have a package called Cowboy, which would be 3 down and 8 DBs in the game and 7 DBs in the game, and that allowed us to do all those things. But you had to do the first things first. It's kind of like you earn the right to rush the passer, and you earn the right to play creative 3rd down defense when you have recruit grown men to play defense and play physical with their hands. That's where everything comes from.
Good breakdown there. I wanted to tap into your knowledge of Morgan, not just the coach, but the person, because he's established himself prior to becoming the head coach. He established himself as one of the best recruiters in this region. Why do you think that is?
Oh, he just has the ability to connect, and I'll say this: he'll be a great recruiter this year and 10 years from now, because this is the thing about people used to always say, well, we got to have this certain age of person to be able to recruit. And that's not true at all. You either have the ability to connect with players or not. It doesn't matter. I knew some guys back when they were young coaches, and they weren't very good at recruiting because they didn't know how to connect. And so the ability like that doesn't go away. It doesn't fade as all of a sudden I get, I'm 58 years old and now I can't connect as well with things. That's not true. So he has the ability to connect, but his real ability, the biggest one, is his ability to evaluate. And that is the part that stands out the most, because when you sign players, whoever it is, it's great to be able to connect. And guess what? They got to be able to play. And so that's where the errors are made more than in the recruiting process. The errors are made on misevaluations. And so he's done a tremendous job of knowing what he's looking for, what skill set it is, the competitive spirit that has to play. And then he also, from playing at Utah and being there for so long, he knows what just won't work more than what will work. So it's like that guy probably is just not going to work here at Utah. And so because of that, he's able to connect with those guys and be able to evaluate. And he'll be able to do it forever. That won't change. And like I said, age has no bearing when you have the ability to connect with players.
You had you had referenced something earlier about his potential involvement on the offensive side, and it's always kind of this interesting thing to consider the offensive coordinators here under Kyle and how much freedom they were given and how much of Kyle's influence as the head coach was on that side of the ball. Do you think Utah's offense will look different, even though, Kevin McGivern has taken over? All the indicators are that he believes in more or less similar concepts to Jason, but of course Kevin's his own man and he's well established. What do you think Utah's offense is gonna look like this year, Coach?
I would imagine, because of the return of the quarterback, that things are going to look very, very similar. Just because a lot of it's already kind of tied into McGivern's background. Kevin's a great human being and a great coach. I was with him at Utah State on Gary Anderson's original staff, and like I said, he's very established. But he's intelligent. And what would be the most intelligent thing to do if you're a coordinator would be just watch some of the offense. I believe number 1 in the country in rushing. Is that correct? Last year,
number 1 in the Big 12, number 2 in college football.
And one of the Big 12. So I'm telling you one thing: if you're a smart coordinator, what are you going to do? I'm going to run the football, and there's going to be enough quarterback runs and a chance for him to make plays. So I don't see there being a lot of dramatic changes. Kevin might add a couple of wrinkles by personnel. If he has, if all of a sudden we have 2 great tight ends, we can play with 2 tight ends in the game sometimes. He'll probably adjust himself that way, but it'll be a very similar package, I'm sure. Now, Kevin hasn't told me that directly, but when you have somebody that is, like you said, number 2 in the country and 1 in the Big 12, I mean, that's remarkable stats. So that's still the secret to everything, to be able to run the football and stop the run, obviously. So I don't see it varying very much. I don't think the fans are going to come out for the first game against Idaho and go, wow, this looks different. This is a whole different deal. That quarterback will be doing things that he does very well, which he's done very well for a number of years.
I'm sitting here kind of chuckling to myself a little bit, listening to you talk about how you had coached with Kevin at Utah State and with Gary Anderson. And, Gary's now down coaching with BYU, and Kevin McGivern goes to Salt Lake, and Robert Anai is hired by Bronco, he had Robert Anai at BYU and UVA. And this interesting, local coaching ecosystem where everybody seems to know everybody. What's it like to be a part of that?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so cool to do that. When I was back in Utah, about a year ago, I guess it was, for spring or whatever, and Kyle brought me out, and he had a chance to see everybody, and seen Coach Mack and the coaches on that staff that I knew. And then I talked to, I'm not going to make it up, but I talked to BYU guys quite a bit. I talked to Coach Chad and and TJ Woods, who was like I said, at Utah State with me on original staff, and I know a lot of those guys. I'm very good friends with Bronco Mendenhall, so I talked to him a lot. So yeah, it's kind of bizarre how you have 3 schools, and at any point in time, I can have an in-depth conversation. And I talked to Gary still at BYU, and so I can have an in-depth conversation about BYU, Utah, and Utah State all within the same day. And it's very interesting to me. And then to know all those people is just bizarre and just fortunate, because it's like being a comedian. If you're not funny, you just don't get hired again. You might have a little flash for a little bit of time. It's like you don't get rehired and you're done. So these coaches are all tremendous, is what you're seeing. You're seeing incredible coaching staffs. And so that's interesting, like I said, to have those. That's why the longevity is, because they understand the work ethic that goes with it. There is in any of those places, there is nothing that is about a shortcut. And that's why the length of the careers for everybody.
All right, before I set you loose, I'm going to do the Utah Sports Talk Radio dark magic trick on you as somebody who knows both Utah and BYU very well. There's a case to be made that Utah BYU November 7th here in Salt Lake could potentially be a play-in game. If everything goes well, to maybe go to the Big 12 championship game. Who do you think has the leg up, Coach?
Oh, that's a wow. You did kind of put it on me.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, like I said, I think it's a 51-49, and my 51 is always going to be with Utah. But I think so. They had, Bear came in for him as a true freshman last year. So right away, my initial part is older quarterback at Utah. That's going to be a plus, not a big one, because of the quarterback and what he did at BYU. And so I just think probably the must will be enough in a 2-point game that's going to get him through it to have that win in that case. But big fans of both. But I'm always going to be on. I got a lot of players down there, a lot of friends down there at BYU, but I've never crossed over on that to that spot, so I'm always going to be a Ute, that's for sure.
Coach, on the home of the Utes, you passed the test. Well done, sir. Thank you so much for the time. When you're back out here, we'd love to have you in studio again, okay?
I'll be back out, I guarantee, and hope we can talk a couple times during the season. That'd be awesome.
All right, there you go. Bill Bush, former safeties coach at the University of Utah, won a national championship with LSU. Coach at Utah State, Wisconsin, and Nebraska. Coach for 40 years, so I always appreciate his time. Stops by today, courtesy of our friends at IFA Country Stores. What do you know? It's time to start thinking about football. We're only a few weeks away from the best time of the year, and now's the time to prep your field. Make sure you're using IFA's Step 3 for the weeks ahead when the weather is still hot. But as the dog days of summer give way to fall, it's time to start thinking about Step 4, our fall and winter lawn fertilizer. Either way, you can find out more by visiting ifa.coop online. All right, before we catch a break, exciting event tomorrow. It's called Homers for a Cause. It's a fundraiser for a young girl named Samantha who is in the fight of her life. She's battling cancer, so we're trying to support her. Go to WFMBL.org for more information. And the president of the league, Mark Johnson, joins us once again in studio. What's up, Mark? How are you?
Doing good.
How do you like this radio thing?
It's been great. Love it.
You want to host a show for 4 hours every afternoon?
I mean, that's a little daunting task, but I'm up for it.
I think you could pull it off. I think you could pull it off. What do you make of maybe having Major League Baseball here in Utah? Oh,
I would love it. Be able to see my Cardinals every year.
Yeah.
So, and I would definitely be all over that.
Yeah, as a Northeast boy, I'm a Yankee fan. I always joke about seeing Aaron Judge drinking a swig soda or something downtown. It'd be wild. But look, let's talk about the cause. Okay, let's talk about what you guys are trying to accomplish tomorrow.
Yeah. So like you mentioned, we're trying to raise money for Samantha in her fight against cancer. She's in the battle of her life right now, currently wheelchair bound. And we are really doing everything we can to make as much money as possible. So we have this awesome event going on right now tomorrow. It's going to be all day, open to the public. You guys can just come in, hang out, spend some time, get involved with the Derby. There's so many ways that you can get involved, not just with the Derby. We'll have a trading card show going on at the same time. We have food trucks going on at the same time. Raffles are going to be going on. And then we're selling some Raptor tickets to their Cancer Night game. So there's so many ways that you can just show up, have a good time, hang out. You don't necessarily have to get involved in the Home Run Derby to participate and help out in this great cause.
You had referenced you have some open spots maybe for some vendors, some last-minute spots?
Yes, yeah, we do have some last-minute spots for some trading card show vendors. So if you're out there and you've got a big inventory of some sports cards you're looking to buy, sell, trade, and want to get in on it, you can go to the website and sign up as a vendor, wfmbl.org, click on that Homers for a Cause, and then register as a vendor. Your table fee is your donation. So you come in and pay that table fee to set up for the day, and then whatever you as a vendor make, you get to keep the rest. And so
love it. I love it. So it's a home run derby.
Yep.
That's open. Anyone can participate in this home run derby. Kids, you got a little league version, and then adults as well.
Correct. Yep. We've got, it's like I said, truly open to the public. Anyone can come in and hang out. We have the youth version of it. So at the end of the open entry period, whoever has the top score in the youth version will get the youth trophy, as the adults will compete in the head-to-head bracket for the adult trophy. And
you don't just get points for hitting homers, right? It's
Correct.
A different system. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's a different system. So it's based on how far you can hit the ball. We have a line of flags about 3/4 of the way out in the outfield. If you hit it past that line of flags on the fly, you get a point. If you hit it onto the warning track, it's 3 points. Off the wall is 5, and over the fence is 10. So you get those 15 swings. It's not 50 times you swing that bat, and you're just trying to get as many points as possible. We take the top 8 after that open entry period and throw them in that championship bracket.
And you've got some cool prizes on the line, yeah?
Yeah, we've got some really cool prizes out there. Some big donors have stepped up. So it's a target prize. So essentially you hit your ball and it hits our target. You could win $5,000. You could win $500 in airline credits from Breeze. You could win a golf vacation package to St. George to play Coral Canyon and Copper Rock. You could win a Rhino Linings package out of from Rhino Linings in Ogden, or American Batsmith. They've got a free baseball bat customization thing that you can do with them.
And you can bring your own bat. You can bring your own pitcher, right? You can bring your own setup if you want.
You can bring your own setup, or you can use what we have available to you.
Where can people go get information? How do they sign up?
Yeah, so they can sign up at wfmbl.org. Click on that Homers for a Cause tab. You'll scroll down. You'll see all the information about our cause, all of the kids that we have sponsored in the past 4 years. And then there's a registration link if you want to sign up for the Derby. Or if you just want to donate, you can click on that donation link and donate to the cause.
WFMBL.org. That's WFMBL.org. It's Homers for a Cause. It's tomorrow at 9 a.m. at Lindquist Field in Ogden, Utah. Open to the public. We're trying to support young Samantha, who is battling cancer. So let's get out there and support. Mark, good to see you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll catch a break. Little golf coming up. Jordan Bloxham, pro from T-Box, will join us right here. Friday Drive, ESPN 700. All right, the PGA Tour is at the Wyndham Championship this weekend. Sickfield Country Club in Greensboro, North Carolina. And let's check real quick. Please tell me Tony didn't bogey 17. Oh, no, Tony birdied 18 to card a 66. He will play over the weekend. He's at 3 under par, which is on the cut line. So good news. Didn't look like Tony was going to make the cut. Zach Blair, he is through 16 and needs to birdie 17 and 18 to make the cut. He's at 1 under par. Let's talk some golf with my guy, Jordan Bloxham from T-Box on a Friday. What's up, Jordan? How are you?
Spence, doing well. Just down here at our Del Rey location at their grand opening.
It does not suck to be Jordan Bloxham. I'll tell you what, you got a pretty good life, man.
It's not too bad. Get a travel, get into a different heat here in Florida, but it's pretty nice, and it's great to celebrate with our owners and getting their box open.
I'm telling you, man, I have told you before, and I told your buddy when I saw him at the Hall of Fame golf tournament, I wish I would have invested in this idea. So how many stores do we have open now?
Delray Beach is the 23rd location open right now, and I think we have 105 territories sold.
Wow, man. This thing is just on its way to becoming massive. I hope you got equity, Jordan, in your deal.
No equity, but a really great place to work and improve my game along with our members.
Indeed. In fact, while we're in this space, I'll tell everybody to go to tbx.golf. The one I go to is up in Centerville. So go to tbx.golf right now. Tell our listeners what you guys are doing with T-Box and how you can help them learn to become better golfers.
We're just kind of changing how everything is kind of taught and how improvement is done, right? Everyone's kind of like, oh, if I want to get better, I need to take lessons, or I just need to bang balls, or I need to play golf, right? And it's a combination of kind of everything where we bring that in, and the body is a big piece of that as well, right? Where we, body swinging clubs, we bring it all into one space where you come in, we look at how your body moves and, where that needs improvement. And then we look at your swing and how that works with how your body moves to get you swinging better. And then we actually tie that in with the clubs and with our club fitting and making sure you have the right equipment to maximize your potential on that side as well.
So tbx.golf, like I said, there's one in Centerville. That's the one I go to. Where are the other locations here in state, Jordan?
So we've got Kaysville, Clearfield, Riverton, Spanish Fork, Pleasant Grove, St. George, in Utah now.
Wow.
And then our Draper location will open up 29th of August is the grand opening for the Draper location.
What's the update on you opening one 5 minutes from my house here in Salt Lake?
There'll be one 10 minutes. We have a Salt Lake, downtown Salt Lake location that'll be really close to you. So not too far away. It'll be 10 minutes away, not 5 minutes, but pretty close. And that one's going to be, I believe, end of October, 1st of November.
And you're planning on moving to the Salt Lake location because you're my coach, right?
No, you'll still have to drive to Centerville for that.
Okay. All right.
But we'll get you taken care of either way.
All right, there you go. So I was discussing the Wyndham Championship going on right now, and Tony was able to birdie 18 to make the cut, so he's at 3 under par. Are you starting to see him playing any better?
He's been playing a little bit better. I don't obviously. I don't think he would have had a really good week, and I'm trying to remember if he made the cut last week at the Rocket Mortgage. I don't believe he did.
He did not.
That hurt him pretty bad. And then he's right on the cut line, and everybody's not done. He's in a T64, so that cut line could push to 4 and actually push Tony out. And then Kihei Akina, the sophomore at BYU, who's playing in this as well. He's at 3 under par as well at that T64 spot. And Zach Blair did birdie, so he's at -2.
Oh, wow.
So to give himself a chance, he needs the birdie 18. But his game's just kind of been flat. Obviously he's not playing good, so I'm not seeing a lot of his game and what's kind of going going wrong with it, but it's been kind of flat. I mean, it's not like it's terrible, but something's not quite right with Tony.
Tell me why they made the change for the FedEx St. Jude to not be part of the tour's top tier series. What was that about?
I heard a little bit about that. Haven't had to look too much into it with stuff I've had going with work and being busy here. But my guess is it's just not one that's a favorite of the top players. So to be in that top tier, you need to be able to draw that top tier talent, and if they want to go there and it's a tournament that they like to play in. So my guess is that's some of it. And then I know that FedEx is looking at not sponsoring it anymore. So that, money play too is probably some of the equation.
Yeah, it definitely makes you wonder what the future of the FedEx Cup is, because this massive overhaul is starting in 2028. I don't know how closely you've covered all the changes, but are you a fan of the direction the tour is going?
Like when they came out with it, I think there's some good things and some bad things. I mean, giving more players the chance, but then they're kind of cutting some players out. So it's good and bad. There's good in it. There's some players who really like it. There's some players who don't think it's great. Where you're going to kind of fit people in as they come in that are going to be big draws, but they don't have the points to qualify for those top tier events. Are they going to go into those challenger events in 28? I know that they still have to shake out all the details moving forward. So as it comes out, I think they'll make some tweaks to make it as good as they can. But with, I don't know if you heard the news that they're looking to raise like $250 million for LIV to keep that going for 2027. So, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in golf right now. But it's pretty good. I mean, you've got, I think it's in a good space with some of the new talent that's coming up, with Jackson Quinlan winning last week. And just, some young guys that are bringing some energy to the tour. So, I mean, I think it's in a good spot. Golf overall is in a good spot. So they just have to do their best not to mess it up.
Yeah, that's actually the last thing I wanted to ask you before I set you loose. Do you feel like we're in for any sort of bubble anytime soon? I mean, the growth of this game continues to just blow me away. Like everywhere I go, all of these young players. I mean, look, don't take this the wrong way. We used to stuff golfers in lockers in high school, and now it's like the cool thing to do. Do you feel like this game is just going to continue to grow?
Like I said, I think there's some potential for it to. I mean, there's always the potential for it to kind of come back, but I think with what happened right after COVID and the popularity of the game there, it brought so many golfers back into the equation. Even if you dip off a little bit, I mean, you've seen it. If you try to get a tee time on a Thursday for a Saturday, that's good luck on that. So it would have to do a lot to really kind of come and have that bubble burst much. It's just become such a popular game that's accessible, that gets people outside. And it's, like you said, it's become a cool thing to do, and not just, hey, that's stuff that old stuffy, rich guys do.
Well, look, man, we'll let you go sit on a beach and play golf or whatever Jordan Bloxham does. I'll be stuck in studio doing Sports Talk Radio for 4 hours. Thanks for the time, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Always a pleasure.
Jordan Bloxham, my golf coach from T-Box. Now, look, go to tbx.golf right now. Pull up your browser, go to tbx.golf. And I am telling you, if you are new to the game or if you've been playing for a while and you want to improve, these guys are doing it differently. And I was a little bit skeptical after I heard the model went up there. I went through the T-Box assessment. If you go to tbx.golf right now and you schedule it up in Centerville, tell them you heard me talking about it on the show. They're going to hook you up with a free assessment. They go through this entire physical with you to see where your body is firing and where it's not, and basically take you through the physical portion of a golf swing. And then they give you a program and they send you an app, a Titleist app, where they set up exercises for you. I have a 45-minute exercise routine. I have a 15-minute exercise routine. I use the 15-minute one before I play. And then I do the 45-minute one a couple of times a week. It helps with flexibility and strength. And then ultimately, they can help you get some new equipment so you improve your golf game overall. It's an awesome spot. Very impressed with what they're doing. TBX.golf is where you go. Brought to you today by our friends at Stansbury Park Golf in Tooele County. If you haven't played there, you got to get it done this weekend. Everyone's talking about it. It's Stansbury Park Golf Course. Perfect combo of challenge, pace, and price. Water on almost every hole. No long waits. No overpriced green fees. You get $45 on the weekdays and $50 on the weekends. It's right off of I-80. So check it out and then stick around and check out Tooele County. Brought to you by our good friends at Tooele County. And you can go explore Tooele County after playing at Stansbury Park Golf Course. All right, before we catch a break, 5 o'clock hour of the show, we have a big event coming up tomorrow we want you guys to be a part of. It's called Homers for a Cause. It's a fundraiser for young Samantha. She's 15 years old, battling cancer. We're trying to help raise some money to help her with the fight. Mark Johnson, the president of the WFMBL, live in studio. Once again, what's up, Mark?
What's up?
Did you say you have a golf tournament coming up?
Yeah, you were just talking about some golf. We have one of our sponsors of Homers for a Cause, Dane Adkin with American Family Insurance up in North Ogden. They do an annual fundraiser as well, and they have chosen to support our Homers for a Cause event this year. So they're doing a little golf tournament on September 15th at 8 a.m. at the barn.
Nice.
And all of the proceeds from that are going to be donated to our Homers for a Cause and helping our foundation raise money for Samantha.
Love that. So stay tuned for more information on the golf tournament. But let's talk about the event tomorrow, Mark. What do you want our listeners to know?
Yeah, so it's a open to the public home run derby. Anyone off the street that wants to come in and get some swings in or relive that dream of crushing us some baseballs can show up tomorrow. 9 a.m. is when the event starts. We'll have a card show going on. We'll start off with a baseball game to kind of get everybody in the mood. And then at 11:30, the home run derby will kick off. Anyone can come in, sign up, register, pay your fee, participate in the home run derby, and all the money we make from that will go towards Samantha.
It's at Lindquist Field up in Ogden tomorrow. Again, doors open at 9 a.m. for an all-star game, then the home run derby after that, open to the public. And we're talking about a little league level, so the kids can come participate. Yeah. Then obviously the adults can do it as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be open for everybody. So we'll have a little league class in there too. So your youngins come and play that are currently playing little league ball up to middle school age. They will all compete kind of on their own. And then all the adults, high school aged and higher, will compete on their own in a separate kind of event. But yeah, it'll be great once we get through our open entry period. We'll open it up to we'll put our top 8 scores into that championship bracket. They'll compete for that trophy. And then once the derby ends, we bring in the Utah County Recreational League. They're going to come up with their all-stars and play my all-stars.
Oh, nice.
At 7 p.m. for that game. And
very cool.
While that game's going on, we'll be doing raffles. Like I said, we'll have the trading card show going on all day as well, food trucks. So a ton of different ways to get involved and just participate or you can just come in, have a good time, watch some baseball.
And some open spots last minute for some vendors if they're interested. Yeah?
Correct. Yep. For the trading card show, we do have some open spots for some vendors if you're last minute wanting to do some vending for the weekend. You just go to the website and can get signed up there.
And finally, you got some awesome prizes on the line, right?
Yeah, we do have some major prizes on the line. Our biggest one is $5,000 grand prize. If you hit the target with that, we've got a golf vacation package to St. George to play Coral Canyon and Copper Rock. Lodging included in that. We have a free Rhino bed lining cover for your truck if you hit that one from Rhino Linings in Ogden. $500 in airline credit from Breeze Airways. And a custom bat from American Batsmith in Riverton.
And where can people go get information? How do they sign up?
Yeah, it's WFMBL.org is the website. You click on the Homers for a Cause page. You scroll down there. You'll see all of our information about our event and what we do and all of our past kids that we've raised some money for. And then there's going to be some links on there that you can do to sign up for the Derby if you want to pre-register. You don't have to, but you can. Or you can just donate to the cause. If you want to donate to the cause, click on that Donate Now button.
All right, WFMBL.org. That's WFMBL.org. It's Homers for a Cause. It's a fundraiser for young Samantha, 15 years old, who's battling cancer. It is tomorrow at 9 a.m. at Lindquist Field in Ogden, Utah. It is open to the public. Mark, good luck with everything, man. Hopefully we helped today.
No, I absolutely appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you got it. Mark Johnson, the president of the WFMBL. 3 hours down, 1 hour to go. Final hour is next on ESPN 700. All right, final segment of the show for a Friday. Final segment of the show for the day and for the week, weekend time. So let's get that started the right way. Hopefully you have something fun planned. Maybe escaping the heat. I hesitate to say this will be our last extremely hot weekend, but it is triple digits both Saturday and Sunday. And then looking at the forecast, it actually is going to cool down a little bit starting next Wednesday or Thursday. Nice, 81 degrees next Friday. So we are inching closer and closer to fall. And obviously college football, top of mind awareness. Do want to tell you about my friends at Game Day Men's Health before we say goodnight. I was there last night because I go in there every 3 months to get blood taken. It's part of their program. And it's actually, it's great because it gives you peace of mind. So we've talked about Game Day Men's Health in the past. And essentially, the bottom line is this. If you want to get back in shape, you got to go. If you want to get in better shape, you got to go. Their program has helped me, and at last count, 7 of my friends, our guy Smitty, is actually taking advantage of the deal, and you should take advantage of the deal no matter what. I mean, I say it every day because it's a free consultation with no obligation. You go in there, it's about 20 to 30 minutes. They'll take some blood, and then they're going to sit with you. They're going to go over your levels with you. They also have a body scanner that they let you do every few months. I did mine yesterday for the first time in a year, and I've gained 6 pounds, but I have less body fat, which means their program is working. So GameDayMen'sHealth.com is where you go. You schedule that free consultation. They're going to take some blood, and they're going to talk about your levels. Then they're just going to show you some of the products they have that might be able to help you if you're deficient in certain areas. I utilized their testosterone therapy, which has completely changed my life, and then some peptides when my shoulders act up because I have some rotator cuff injuries. They got semaglutide, they have tirzepatide, they've got anything you need. If you need to lose weight, if your health is in peril, if you want to lose weight because you want to be able to take your shirt off at the pool again. So GameDayMen'sHealth.com is where you go to schedule that free consultation. But here's the kicker. If you decide to sign up for their program, you tell them you heard me talking about it on the radio show, you instantly get 50% off their entire product line and your membership for the first year. It makes it really affordable because a lot of these products, once upon a time, were saved for very rich people, athletes, celebrities getting ready for movies. But the 50% off deal makes it affordable. It's the very same deal they give me. So go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Schedule that free consultation. Tell them you heard me talking about it. They're going to knock 50% off your entire membership with our good friends at Game Day Men's Health. How are you escaping the heat this weekend?
Getting in the mountains.
We're getting elevated.
I'll be up 10,000 or so feet. And, it's probably going to be like, I don't know, 68 and sunny up there, hopefully.
You going to ride tall in the saddle and kick up some dust?
Don't think this weekend.
Okay.
Doing some potential fire prep stuff. So we'll see.
Is that starting to – are we doing any better with that stuff? Well,
No.
When I was up in Sun Valley a couple of weeks ago, there are a ton of fires in Oregon, and all the smoke Sun Valley usually has crisp blue skies and cool temperatures. It was 95 degrees and smoky the whole time.
Yeah, no, there's a fire that is down near my sister in Sevier County that is, over the last couple of days, blown up. It is now the biggest fire of the year, or very close to. And a couple new starts up here, one in Morgan area over the course of the last 24 hours or so. No, it's the thing about it is it's we got moisture a little bit during the summer, but at the end of summer and into fall, everything gets so dry it almost becomes worse than during the really hot days. So no, it's still very dangerous out there. But yeah, we don't have to worry about that down here in the city.
Not good, not good. So hopefully everyone's staying safe, because it has been very, very hot breaking news. Next week, hopefully, we have some more clarity. Some of the topics on the show today, namely the Protect College Sports Act. The big one is if a Power League school wants to move to another power conference, the school can avoid the 5-year probationary period if it withdraws from its league within 180 days of the bill's enactment. A senator, the Kennedy, not Bobby Kennedy, not that one. He's not a senator. He's just a poorly behaved person. The Kennedy senator is saying that he is now going to put an amendment on the college sports bill to not allow ticket prices to be raised by more than 4% year in and year out. That will not work. The leagues and the schools will say that we're going to raise ticket prices if we want. Bring that up to say I don't think this is being passed anytime soon. It's probably going to stretch into the fall, but a lot of really interesting storylines that could change the landscape of college football. All right, Porter, let's start our weekend. What's coming up on a Monday edition of the show?
Monday edition of The Drive. We'll get our weekly camp check-in with our friends at Ute Zone. Dan Sorensen will stop by. RSL will send us a standout from the weekend as they have Leagues Cup matchup with Atlante. And Dr. Hill is going to stop by. Dr. Chris Hill talking some Utes and the business of college sports. Potentially some sound from fall camp as well.
Very nice. Camp Scally rolls along. Go to ESPN700sports.com for all the Ute sounds. Special thank you today to Pablo Mastroeni, Howard Beck, Bill Bush, and Jordan Bloxham. If you missed any of it, the website is ESPN700sports.com. Download the mobile app, take us on the go, and then support our podcast page called The Drive with Spence Checketts, available wherever you get your shows. For Porter, I'm Spence saying goodnight. Have a great weekend. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. We'll talk to you on a Monday Drive. As always, you can catch it right here on ESPN 700.